What is up, YouTube? Welcome into another edition of Trey and BK live on Texas Sports Unfiltered. Today is Friday, September 1st, 2023. Happy Friday to you and yours, and a happy Labor Day weekend to you and yours as well. Hopefully some of y'all will get a little bit of extra time off this weekend. Hopefully the weekend has already started for a few of you out there, but we are locked and loaded live on Texas Sports Unfiltered. Trey will be a few minutes late. We just had a big meeting out with our great sponsor, Covert Bee Cave, and Trey is making his way back from Bee Cave to Cedar Park. Kind of a trek. He will be with us here in a few minutes, so you're stuck with me, BK, for the start of today's show, and I will happily answer any questions you guys have or talk about whatever the hell you guys want to talk about. But we have a jam-packed show for you today because in this hour, we have two more major lineup announcements to make on Texas Sports Unfiltered. That's right, 2 in 1 hour. Earlier today, we announced the addition of Jeff Howe of Horns 24/7 to the TSU team. Yesterday, we announced the addition of Mike, a.k.a. Hardball Harge. He will be starting a show 11 o'clock on Monday. Jeff Howe is going to be a part of the currently unnamed afternoon program here on Texas Sports Unfiltered. Also starting on Monday, that's going to take place from 3 to 5, but we've got 2 other announcements to make between now and 1 o'clock. I keep tweeting it out. Don't get left behind. If you're not a part of this thing yet, I don't know what you're waiting for. If you are a part of this thing, thank you for being a part of this thing. We appreciate your support early on. Thank you for all the likes, for all the subscriptions, all of the app downloads. Our app numbers have been crazy over the last couple of days. So thank y'all so much for buying into this thing early on. Super excited about what we've already added, and even more excited, I shouldn't say that, equally excited to announce our new additions that we have to Texas Sports Unfiltered. Starting on Monday, we are going to be taking you people from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. every single day. That's right. There will be no breaks in the action. Nonstop, unfiltered Texas sports talk every weekday from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. We want to get y'all through the workday. We want to help y'all through your commutes as well. And we've got a ton of talent already on Texas Sports Unfiltered, and our list gets even better. Our roster becomes even more stacked. My man Zay Collier from Chip and Zay, which you can hear right after this show from 1 to 3, he is calling this roster the 92 Dream Team. I tend to agree. Some folks are calling this thing the Avengers. I tend to agree. Any all-time great team metaphor that you can think of, we're putting that together, and it applies here at Texas Sports Unfiltered. So make sure to keep telling your friends. It's awesome how many people of you have bought, how many of you have bought into this thing already, but keep spreading the word. We can only do so much. We're going to try. We're going to tell everybody that we know. Chip always says, tell your friends and enemies. We're going to do that for us, but we need you guys to do that as well and continue to spread the word about what we've got going on at Texas Sports Unfiltered, because we think you guys will really like what we are bringing to the table. And we wanted to make sure that we've got some great content for y'all for football season. And we really wanted to make sure the week of the Alabama game that we were ready to rock and roll, because that, of course, is a massive game, one of the biggest games of the college football season. All right, so Trey will be joining us in a few minutes, but we can make an announcement right now. We've got the newest show of Texas Sports Unfiltered that is set to debut Monday morning at 10 a.m. And this show will be on every weekday on this channel, on the YouTube page, on the app, wherever you get our content. It will be on every weekday from 10 to 11 a.m. The title of this new program is Chaos Theory, and I love that name, and that is what you are going to get with these two. Let's bring them all right now. We've got Adam Wagner, a.k.a. Wags, and Rodney Rodriguez, our 2 newest members of Texas Sports Unfiltered. And once again, the new show, Chaos Theory, makes its debut Monday morning at 10 a.m. Gentlemen, welcome to the team. What's going on?
Hey, man, it's good to be here. There goes the neighborhood, huh?
Oh, yeah, my God.
Going down.
Yeah, my
I'll
whole
tell you.
apartment
I've been
complex.
waiting to do a show with this guy for a
Yeah.
long time, man.
Wags and I have done a couple of UIL high school football games, and I was waiting for our network to get like a notice that we were in trouble for those games. We did, man. Dude, Wags, this is going to be so great, dude.
Look,
Brad,
we've been trying to
BK,
get. We approached the horn with it a few times, right back in the
Yeah.
day. Like, hey, can Rodney and I team up and do something together? Oh no, well, we need Rodney on Saturdays. We need you on Sundays. Well, hey, that ship has sailed, baby. A new boat has arrived, and it is in. Chaos Theory will begin Monday, and we can't wait to bring all the chaos to you guys.
man, and I think it's going to be so great. I mean, like I was saying there, BK, and thank you for letting me be a part of this. Chaos Theory, the whole prognosis of this name is you never know where we're going. I mean, obviously, we're going to talk about Texas sports, and the timing is perfect with the Alabama game and everything going on. But, I mean, you just never know. I mean, Wags is all over the map. People talk about me, oh, that's the racing guy. I do a lot of other shit that I think people don't know about. So we're going everywhere, dude. This is chaos is a nice way to put it. I'm so looking forward to this, guys.
That's when BK approaches, like, hey guys, like, what do you want to name that? What do you want to call this thing? That's the only thing, like, either that or talking shit. You know what I mean? Like, I couldn't really come up with anything else. And like,
and I got to have my bell.
Just,
well done,
right,
Wags.
right.
I like that.
But yeah, it just hit, dude. And now, and it's like you said, man. Like I am kind of all over the place. I talk about video games. I talk about comics. I talk about sports. I like talking about life in general, man. And that's kind of what the Wagner Wire is about. The 4 pillars of life: gaming, sports, music, and movies. So we try and encompass all that into this thing. So we don't know where it's going to go. We really don't. We will have a lot of Texas sports for sure, because that is the centric kind of theme of this channel, and it's Texas Sports Unfiltered. But we will give you a little bit of a reprieve from all the stats and kind of compiling info stuff. It'll be a nice little break in the I guess for brunch, if you want to call it that.
That's pretty
brunch.
good.
We don't know what the hell we're gonna eat. We don't know what you're gonna eat. We're gonna give you a lot of shit.
Well, and the funny thing about it is, I mean, the times that I would do, whether it be a post game or whatever it was, on the radio station. I mean, I am a Texas fan. I've been a Texas fan forever. I did not go there. I'm way too stupid to have even had a chance to go there. But dude, I tell it like it is. If they're sucking, I'm going to tell you.
Right.
and if folks want to argue with me, that's great. But I think that's what this is all about. And BK, you have done just a great job putting this together, man. Congratulations on this.
Yeah, and we appreciate the spot, man. It is it's very humbling to be amongst so many Texas greats, you know what I mean? Especially being from the institution of higher learning of the University of Texas, like I am. Yeah. I'm an anomaly, man. I'm a Terrapin-born boy, allowed to be a Longhorn because I was I graduated from the institution, and it's great to be amongst all you guys. So can't wait, dude.
Yeah, well, it's great to have you guys, man. I mean, you guys are two tremendous, tremendous talents. And that's what Texas Sports Unfiltered is. That's the team that I wanted to build, right? Guys that are great talents, but also guys that I love. You guys are two of my best friends. Love hanging out with you guys. Excited to be back in Austin for so many reasons. But obviously to get to see you guys more is really, really cool. And yeah, I mean, this is going to be a fun show. The guys just laid it out for you perfectly. There's going to be plenty of sports conversation, but you never know with these two where things are going to head. It's going to be a must-listen program. And Rodney, you talked about it, man. Like, a lot of people know you as the racing guy, but you're so much more than that. Big into high school sports here in Central Texas. Longhorn fan, Cowboys fan. You know your stuff. You're an incredibly talented dude. I'm just so excited to get you on this team and to give you this opportunity because you've deserved it for a long time. So I'm glad, Rodney, that you get the chance to kind of showcase your skill set to the great people of Central Texas.
Well, BK, I said it when everything kind of ended over there. I mean, you were the one guy, and it was weird for me because I'm much older than you are. But you were the one guy that said, "Hey, man, you want to get on the air and talk?" I mean, you finally gave me that chance, and to be a part of this, I mean, it really is. I mean, the racing is great, but man, I'm just a sports dude, and that's really what we all are. I mean, we have our opinions, we have all of that, and we try to validate what we're talking about. But dude, we're just sports fans, and I think that's where Wags and I are going to be able to put this thing together. And we may get crossed up with some of the folks, and that's great. I mean, everybody has an opinion. What do they say?
That's what I'm hoping for. I'm hoping we have really passionate conversations.
Yeah, I think that's really going to be the thing, and it's going to go down a lot of different roads, and that's why I think that the name is perfect. I mean, the chaos theory. You just never know where it's going to go. Coming off of, and it's going to be BK and Bucky leading us in, and Bucky talking about girth and all this different stuff. So hell, who knows what we're going to be talking about when we fire off on Monday.
Well, I can't keep the surprise any longer. I ordered a couple of hookers to come over to Rodney's house for the opening of the show on Monday morning, just to surprise the camera there. But now you got to look out for that now.
It's a holiday, dude. My wife is home. Can we do that Tuesday?
That's even better. I can't wait for Tracy to see what's going on.
Oh man. Well, let's bring on the other member of Midday with Trey and BK, the great Trey Elling. Now gets to hear. I think he already knew this was happening. But Trey, the new show Chaos Theory with Wags and Rodney. It starts Monday. It's going to be going down every weekday from 10 to 11 on Texas Sports Unfiltered. We're pretty excited about these boys joining the team. Oh, and we've got Trey muted.
He's
That's
so
how excited he is. He's speechless.
He's so excited he can't talk.
Oh my God. It has been a hell of a 23 hours, guys. Hey, I am very excited to have y'all joining the channel for a variety of reasons, including I just hit the under on the over-under on how long it would take Wags in this introductory segment to mention hookers. So thank you, Wags. I knew I could count on you, my friend, and it's a pleasure to have you boys as official members of the weekday team.
It's what I do best, Trey. It's what I do best.
Hookers?
All of it.
Nobody embodies the unfiltered part of Texas Sports Unfiltered more than our man Adam Wags Wagner.
Hey, can I pull the Marine card here?
He tends,
you know what I mean?
that's
That's the only language we speak.
He tends to come in a little hot. I know, BK, when I talked to you earlier in the week, I'm like, man, when you had Wags on there, man, he was coming in hot. And you were like, yeah, I kind of had to calm it down a little bit. So, I think he's as hot as it is around here. So there you go. Hot takes. That's
you will always be entertained. That is for sure. There will never be a dull moment. Any path that we go down, any avenue of approach, whether it be some rabbit hole, it's going to be an entertaining rabbit hole. That's for sure.
Just a couple of regular dudes talking sports and life and all that good stuff. I think that's really what you're going to get with the Chaos Theory coming up Monday at 10.
Absolutely.
And, cool. Like if you're a gamer too, if you're into video games and stuff like that, if you're a retro kind of person as well, like we will have newsflash, I do work for EA in my day job. So we will have some video games to give away stuff, and not just on our show, but I mean, hold on. I don't know if that's can we say that? Am I allowed to, was that a surprise you were going to do? I'm sorry.
I don't know.
The giveaway stuff.
You can mention that.
Yeah, he's mentioned that. Yeah,
I didn't know if you were saving that up for a special occasion, like a milestone or something like that. But
yeah, the giveaway will happen.
It's got to be earned, damn it.
Yeah, the giveaway will happen when we get to 5,000 subscribers. But no, we're gonna have some great prizes, and yeah, EA was gonna hook us up with some video games, thanks to our man Adam Wagner as part of that 5K giveaway. So no, that's all kosher, man. Guys, we're pumped to have y'all. Super excited. We'll be locked in Monday morning from 10 to 11. The tweet is officially out. Chaos Theory with Rodney and Wags. Wags and Rodney. I don't know what the order is. You guys will figure it out. I'm not worried about any of that.
I'll figure it out.
It's gonna be a ton of fun, and it gets rolling next week, Trey.
Can I ask each of these guys at least one more question before we say goodbye? Because we are obviously on the eve of the official start of college football. I don't give a shit about week 0. Week 0 was garbage. Last night's game was a bit of garbage too, although BK and I may talk about it in a second.
Volleyball school.
We're all Longhorns here, guys. So my 2-part question for you is, what is your prediction on how this team fares this season? Not just regular season, but if there's a Big 12 title, possible college football playoff appearance, and what would be considered a disappointing season, and perhaps it's just going below that expectation?
Anything under 9 wins for me would be a disappointing season. And also, like, I'll add to that, not being able to beat, you got to be able to beat your cupcakes, right? You got to be able to beat the teams that are going to underperform. And a lot of times Texas is going out there and underperform. So like to have that kind of just go away in the wind and have that new chapter of Texas football come in. I think we're going to be a commanding football team, a dominant football team. I look at us as Big 12 champions. And if we're not winning 11 games, something's wrong. Something's really wrong.
Well, and the thing is, I mean, we tend to, or Texas tends to play down to their competition, and that's what really scares me. I mean, I'm thinking 9-3 is what's really going to happen. In my opinion, 10 10 wins is the benchmark. 10 wins is what needs to happen. But I think there's only going to be 9. And, I don't know where that stumble's going to be. I mean, the trip to Baylor worries me. I mean, just because of what's happened in the past. So it's shit like that really concerns me. The TCU game, with OU, whatever, the Bama game, the Bama game to me is going to be so interesting to watch because I haven't seen this team or this program play in the position that they're going to be in with the hype that's going to be around that game in Tuscaloosa. And that's very concerning. And to me, that's a loss. So where it may not be that you're going to be out talented or lose, but the crowd, the environment is going to beat you because they are not used to that. So I'm thinking 9-3. My goodness, man, if they are 8-4, holy shit, watch out, man. Right. Watch out. We are into full change of staff, get rid of the coach. I mean, we've done it, guys.
Yeah.
We've done it. And
the knee-jerk reactions will come. The bullshit talk will come for sure, Rodney. You know that. But let me ask everybody this. And for me, and it's just because this is what I'm seeing, is Alabama basically the tail of the tape in terms of which way the season goes, which way the direction of the season goes. Like if they obviously beat Alabama, man, it's smooth sailing. Big 12 champ. I mean, of course you're getting ahead of your sales here, but Big 12 champs, and then hell, who knows? Maybe even 12 wins. Am I allowed to say that? Are we allowed to get crazy?
You're allowed to get crazy. So you're going 12-0.
That is a very optimistic thing. I'm saying what happens if they do beat Alabama. Yeah. I don't think they beat Alabama.
Look, if they do beat Alabama, then people will be thinking playoff, right?
Correct.
Like
they have to.
That's a lot, obviously, but they can afford to lose a game in the Big 12, and with that win over Alabama on their resume, they will make it to the college football playoff. So that's where the narrative switches. I mean, look, Texas, we've talked about it a lot. Like, Texas will be favored in every game except Alabama.
Yeah.
So if they do win that game in Tuscaloosa next weekend, there will be folks who are like, maybe they actually can go 12-0. So it's a huge one for a million different reasons.
I just worry about the letdown game. That's all.
I'll give my University of Texas stress disorder answer to what happens if and when they beat Alabama, Wags. It is they lose the very next week to Wyoming because we've gotten to Trey once again.
Trey, you read my mind, dude. And it maybe wasn't going to be the Wyoming game, but it's like kind of going back to the racing thing we were talking about. There's this thing when you mess up, it's called you step on it. And that's what concerns me, that you're going to go out and you're going to beat Alabama, and then maybe obviously not going to be Wyoming, but all that hype that's going to be. How does this program respond when you go out and beat Alabama? Hell, you should have done it last year, but you weren't able to do it, whatever the case is. But let's say it happens next week. You go out there and do that. The other thing that I really want to watch this week is we're already saying 50-10 or 60 to whatever this. What if this ends up being 38-20? I mean, then there's all of that happening there. I mean,
well, win's a win, Rodney, for me,
Yeah.
A win's not a win against Rice.
No, I know, but I'm trying to chalk it up. I'm trying to get it prepped already, man. I'm trying to get that oven preheated.
God, I hope y'all don't have to talk about that on Monday. Well, fellas, looking forward to Monday, man. 10-11, Chaos Theory, Rodney Rodriguez, Adam Wags Wagner. Going to be a ton of fun. Plenty of Texas conversation, plenty of sports conversation, plenty of life conversation. These guys will get into movies and music and life, and it's going to be a ton of fun to listen to and watch. I'm super excited about it, fellas.
Apparently hookers.
And apparently some ladies of the night.
A lot of times the channel will control where the chaos goes. So
I see those lights behind you, Wags, and it looks like they are ready for some escorts or something
this is where I made that promotion from you guys for the Midday and Trey and BK that were the harem of hoes.
Ah, yes.
The harem of hoes. This is where it all went down.
All right, gentlemen, y'all are the best. We'll see y'all on Monday. Thanks for joining us today.
Later, boys. Hook up.
Later, boys.
All right,
fellas. Thank you.
About that, Trey, the newest show. We've got another announcement, by the way, to make here on Texas Sports Unfiltered a little bit later in the hour. But starting Monday, 10 a.m., Wags and Rodney, Chaos Theory.
Yeah, we got a nice taste of it right there, BK. I don't know if you guys talked about this, but did you see that Alabama announced their starting quarterback for tomorrow against Middle Tennessee, whoever?
No.
Jalen Milroe going to be taking first-team reps. Apparently, he's been taking a majority of those in fall practice, which is what insider reports have been suggesting. But yeah, Tyler Buckner comes over with Tommy Rees from Notre Dame, cannot win that job despite the fact that he knows the offense better. Maybe that's bad for Tommy Rees. Maybe it's good for Milroe and him really taking the position by the reins throughout fall camp.
Yeah, Tyler Buckner is trash, dude. That guy's
He's not very good. I agree.
No. I was amazed that Alabama went and got him, and they got him late too. I mean, that was a late transfer.
Yeah, and that's why it kind of felt like it reeked of desperation, obviously. But that's when you start asking yourself questions. Well, is Nick Saban not seeing what he needs to out of the two guys he has on campus right now? Even if that was the case then, it's not the case now, because a guy that a lot of people I think would have predicted to win the starting job, considering his status coming out of high school, did get some PT last year here and there too, inconsistent, but you expect that out of young guys. It is Milroe, the Texas kid in the end.
Yeah, and Milroe played last year when Bryce Young got hurt. Milroe played that game against Texas A&M, which Alabama barely won in Tuscaloosa last year. Milroe doesn't have a great arm, but man, he can fly. And we've seen it not so much the last couple of years, but like you think of this god-awful era of Texas football that we've been mired in for way too long, Trey. Running quarterbacks have given Texas fits, and you brought up Tommy Rees, the new offensive coordinator out there. He loves running the football. Like Nick Saban's going to go back to, early career Nick Saban, to where it's not going to be spreading the ball and having 4 wide receivers on the field on every play. You're going to see a lot of 2 tight end sets, and you're going to see a heavy emphasis on running the ball. And obviously Jalen Milroe is a phenomenal runner too. So that's going to be tough. It's not going to be the Bryce Young offense. It's not going to be the Mac Jones offense, right? Thinking of what Bama's done the last few years with Bill O'Brien, it's going to be a different look, and it will be a major, major test for Texas's run defense, which was very good last year, Trey. They're going to have to be buttoned up and ready to roll for that one in Tuscaloosa, because that's going to be their game plan.
I'm assuming Steve Sarkisian has those guys going through zone read defense, because you're probably going to get a heavy dose of that week 2 of the season.
Yeah, absolutely. So Jalen Milroe, I bet all 3 of those quarterbacks play. It's similar to Texas, right? They're playing a team that they should beat by a lot. And I'm sure all 3 of those guys will get some run for Nick Saban in T-Town tomorrow. But Jalen Milroe is the guy. And hey, look, Nick Saban, forget just tomorrow, man. Assuming Milroe starts next week against Texas, I mean, that dude switched quarterbacks at halftime of the national championship game. Yeah. So he won't be scared. If Milroe's struggling a little bit early on, Texas might see a couple of guys. Hell, I hope Texas sees a couple of quarterbacks, right? Because that means the defense is playing pretty well.
I just hope that he doesn't hate any of his current quarterbacks like he clearly hated Jalen Hurts.
Yeah.
And I realize that Tua Tagovailoa was who he was too, but it was ridiculous in the moment, even though I didn't think Jalen Hurts was that good. Clearly, a lot of us were wrong about that take. But Nick Saban allowing himself to be mic'd up, essentially shitting on Jalen Hurts that next offseason to encourage him to transfer, shows that there was some bizarre personal vendetta that Nick Saban had with Jalen Hurts.
Yeah, it was weird. It worked out for Jalen Hurts in the end. I hate where he ended up playing his last year of college football, but turned him into a Heisman finalist, turned him into a second-round pick, and he's one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL right now. So we'll see. Obviously, Texas-Bama next weekend. Texas-Rice tomorrow, Trey. We've been previewing this game all week long on the show. Any thoughts, anything that we haven't hit, anything in particular that you're going to be looking for as the Longhorns take the field for the first time in 2023 tomorrow?
I'm just going to be looking to see the walk that's been talked for the last 7 months now, for that to play out, to see the true on development from Quinn Ewers, this incredible slate of wide receivers. What happens at running back? This offensive line seems like it's about to take another major step forward this year with all 5 starters returning. Defensively, let's see just how good this defensive line is. You expect them to dominate Rice, so that's not necessarily the end all if and when that happens. But also, let's see what Ethan Burke and others can do at that edge rusher position and how those linebackers look too, BK. I know we talked a little bit about it yesterday with most indispensable players, and my belief is that Jalen Ford is that guy because he is one, he's maybe your best defensive player, but two, he is one of the best at that position in the Big 12 at a position group that Texas doesn't have a ton of depth. I want to see these linebackers flying around and doing a good job on their run fits, setting the edge at times if need be, and also cleaning up the mess that is in front of them that is basically an opportunity provided by that stellar defensive line.
Yeah, I want tomorrow to be just a huge confidence builder for all of us, right? For the guys in that locker room, most importantly, but also for this fan base. Like, I just want to see a bunch of things tomorrow that make me feel like, no, this team actually has a chance to slay the dragon next weekend. And I know the difference in class, right? Just because Texas beats Rice 63-7 on Saturday doesn't mean they're going to go into Tuscaloosa and win. I totally understand that, but I sure as hell will feel a lot better about Texas's chances if they win 63-7 versus winning 38-20. Like Wags and Rodney were talking about, right? Like that. If that happens, then I'm going to try to call my cousin as quickly as possible and say, hey, bet Bama before the line moves up, please. Like that's what I don't want to see. A stat that I'll give you, because we just talked about how Bama's going to run the football a lot, and you talked about with run fits with the linebackers and setting the edge. I'm with you. Hugely important to this team this year. There was a game Rice played last year against UTSA. Rice had 32 carries for 5 yards.
Whoa.
We don't need that, but I wouldn't hate that. If Texas is able to keep Rice under, let's just say like 40 or 50 yards rushing, it doesn't have to be under 10, but obviously, whoa, was my reaction too when I saw that. If the Texas D-line does something, once again, Bama, way better line, way better running backs, a running court, I get it. But like that right there would be like, all right, now maybe we have the horses to go in there and actually hang with those dudes for 4 quarters.
How many times was the Rice quarterback sacked in that game? That couldn't have been 30 plus straight handoffs.
No, there's no way. There had to be a few sacks. I didn't look at that. I just looked at the box score and saw 32 carries for 5 yards. Either way.
Still an impressive number. And by the way, the Rice coach was the former O-line coach at Stanford and a guy that people were very confident in that hire when it happened. It wasn't evident in that game in particular. And let's hope the same case is true tomorrow afternoon at DKR.
Yeah, Rice has been interesting because over the last few years in the Mike Bloomgren era, they've actually played a couple of decent teams pretty close. They have not had any luck against Texas, though. I mean, 56-0 or 58-0, the final score of the game 2 years ago. Texas has had their number. As long as Bucky Godbolt's not coaching, we feel great about Texas's chances to win and obviously turn this game into a blowout a little bit. But I'm trying to remember, I think Arkansas, they gave Arkansas some fits a couple of years ago. They gave somebody else some fits, too, to where it's like, oh, they've actually had some decent performances as I scroll through my Phil Steele magazine here. Baylor, God, they played Baylor to a 21-13 game a few years ago. Like they've had some close games. They almost beat Houston last year, but Texas has always had their number, and hopefully that continues to be the case tomorrow.
Speaking of the Cougs, BK, and let's go ahead and call them what they are. The fighting Big 12 Phil Collins is. Did you see the alt uniforms that Houston is wearing tomorrow in honor of the Houston Oilers?
Let me pull up a picture of these right now while you describe what they are.
I normally don't like uniforms that are trying too hard, especially if you are varying greatly from what your actual school colors are. But as an old school Houston Oilers fans, these unis are fucking sweet, dude.
Yeah. How sick are those?
Cool looking uniform right there.
Oh my God. That Columbia blue is different, man. I wish, and I think just about everybody in Houston wishes that the Texans could rock that. Hell, everyone in Houston wishes the Oilers still existed. But those jerseys and that color scheme, it does not get better than that.
Well, I'm sure. I think you were still on Houston radio when the Titans announced that they were going to wear the Love Ya Blue Oilers uniforms this season. More than once, too, by the way. I would imagine that people in H-Town were incensed by that because I myself was furious about it, too. It's like clearly this money grab gimmick. And that's not to say that they're not going to sell some gear because I'm sure they are. But how dare you, Tennessee Titans, exploit something that your fan base has zero interest in terms of what that franchise used to be? Do the right thing here. Give that particular design, I guess, the uniforms, the helmet, everything else, back to the Houston Texans. You can maybe talk about splitting revenue for X amount of time down the road, but let the fan base who actually has passion for the Houston Oilers get to express some love for that through their current hometown team.
Oh, dude, it's a huge topic of conversation down in H-Town, and it won't go away anytime soon. And you're right. One of the games that the Titans are going to be donning the Oilers throwbacks this year will be when the Texans come to town.
I'm so angry right now, dude. I am so angry right now.
Yep.
Oh, my gosh.
So it sucks. Yeah, they not only own the jerseys, which that's the only reason why the Titans even want the Oilers history is so they can get the logo and the jerseys because those are some of the best in sports history. But man, like you brought up a good point. They don't give a damn about that stuff. When the Oilers moved in the late 90s, like they couldn't wait to change the team name. They were pissed that they were the Tennessee Oilers for the first couple of years after Bud Adams brought them up there. They wanted their own thing. They wanted to distance themselves from Houston, distance themselves from the Oilers, and now they're all bragging about how they've got these jerseys and that history, and it's the worst because Houston should have it, and it sucks, and people down there are pissed about it, and they've got every right to be.
I'm glad Bud Adams is dead, BK, for a couple of reasons, and one is so that I don't have to wish death upon him because he's already dead.
Yeah.
I mean, I like in terms of people that I despise, who I don't have any sort of personal relationship with, but I despise just what they were as people and what they unintentionally, I guess, did to me personally. Bud Adams is high up on that list, as he is a lot of other Houstonians.
Yeah. Slim Charles says the ex-Oilers give a damn about the Titans. Yeah, though they do a little bit because they get paid to go to Tennessee Titans games and act like they're fans. But those guys all played in Houston. Like they care about Houston more. You give them truth serum, and hell, I've had conversations with some ex-Oilers who will publicly say they're all about Tennessee, and now they love both. Now their memories are in Houston, so that stuff belongs in Houston. But those jerseys are sick. I feel for the Cougs though, because they're going to lose to UTSA tomorrow. So you can't lose wearing those, right? Like they cannot lose looking that good. That's impossible. I think UTSA is better. And I think they're going to pull off. I don't think it's an upset anymore. I think Houston was favored at the start of the week, and now the Roadrunners are favored in that one. So I don't know if it technically qualifies as an upset, but the Cougs can't lose looking that good, right?
I don't know. I really don't know. Dana Holgerson may very well say, hold my Genesis CD. Okay.
Oh, man. Yeah. Must have invisible touch, that guy, huh? Amazing. All right. We're all over the place. Hey, we were at Covert. That's why you were a few minutes late. I barely got back in time. We had a great meeting with the folks at Covert Bee Cave. Yeah. Bucky and I are doing pregame there tomorrow. We've got a ton of great things out at Covert Bee Cave all season long. Go out there. Trey will be out there tomorrow for a little bit setting up. The pregame show starts at 12, but Bucky, Trey, and I are going to be hanging from 11 to 12 out there in the showroom, just talking. If you want to come by, look at cars. There's also going to be food for you as well. Come through, and then we're doing our pregame show out there at Covert Bee Cave from 12 to 2 tomorrow. Super excited about that. Many thanks to the folks at Covert Bee Cave and Covert Auto Group in the first place for having us out there and for their support of Texas Sports Unfiltered. Super awesome partnership. We love having those guys on board. I want to give them some love. And then Trey, AV Consultations, man. Look, you're not going to get it done by tomorrow, but if you want to spruce up your home TV setup, like the one I've got, like the one you've got, like the one so many of us at TSU have, AV Consultations, they're the people to call.
That's right. It was several years ago now that I first gave Tom McClane Audiovisual Consultations a call at 512-255-8678. Said, hey, I've tried to put our home entertainment center together downstairs. It's working, but it's a patchwork. Can you guys please come over and do the professional job that I was trying to do myself, but failed miserably the first time around? They said, sure. They came out to our place, asked us what it was we were looking to do. And then guess what? They made it happen. And they went above and beyond too, by the way. Had two very young kids at that point in time. They made sure wires were hidden so little hands weren't reaching up and pulling televisions down on top of themselves. So a couple years later, we decided to turn our upstairs loft area into what is essentially a video game nook now. Audiovisual consultations came back out. Same stellar job. They'd love to help you out too, like they have so many other homes and businesses over 35 years. First, go to avconsultations.com and see all the different services they can provide for you. And then give Tom McKay a call, 512-255-8678.
Trey, we are about 5 minutes away from another announcement about the future of Texas Sports Unfiltered. We're going to bring somebody else on and tell you about his upcoming role on this channel, and we love this one, and we think you guys will love this one too. What is that? What are you doing over there?
Happy dance.
Is that what that is?
I'm trying really hard not to road rage on Texas Sports Unfiltered right now, because I got behind every slow driver in the city, and I realized that there are a lot of them. I got behind 4 or 5 different clusters on my way back from Covert. And what should have just been a simple 30 to 35 minute trip turned into something closer to 45 to 50 minutes.
Well, nobody works on Fridays, so everyone's just driving around doing whatever the hell they want, right? Rush hour is all day on Friday. Like the rest of the week, Monday to Thursday, it's like what, 7 to 9, 9:15, and then like 4 to 6:30 in the afternoon. Friday, all bets are off, dude. Anytime you're out there, you're going to be stuck in traffic, and it's a freaking nightmare.
Yeah, it's a little secret for those living outside of Austin. You come to this town, you realize, oh, wait, I don't have to work on Friday? Unless I'm us, and then, we're still doing our jobs. But yeah, it's like everybody running their Saturday errands on Friday in this town.
It's the worst, man. The Sunday drivers, they're the worst. All right, Trey, last night we had some college football. Any takeaways? Utah gets the win over Florida, despite the fact that Casey Thompson did not play a single snap in that game. And then the Big Ten special. I mean, it was so ugly, but it was so beautiful. Minnesota, the miraculous come from behind win, the game-winning field goal as time expires. Those were the two marquee, if you will, matchups of night one of week one of the college football season. Your big takeaways from what you saw last night.
I like how you just mistook Cam Rising for Casey Thompson. That was great.
Did I call him Casey Thompson?
A former Texas quarterback.
Dude,
yes. Not
that.
Actually, Cam Rising is better than Casey Thompson is. So shots fired at the Rising family, I guess. But no, look, impressive win by Utah, BK. I know they played both of their younger quarterbacks, and both guys did some really nice things. One more through the air, the other more on the ground. And this is a Utah team that was banged up on that side of the ball, but they dominated. A Florida team that is trying to get better defensively in 2023. They were atrocious last year. I would actually say it was a tad better, but then again, you still lost by a couple of scores and then some. What was the final? 27-11?
24-11.
24-11. So just under 2 touchdowns, you lose that game by. And offensively, not good for Florida. They wanted to lean on what should be a pretty good ground attack because they returned their top 2 rushers from last year. But unfortunately, Mertz had to throw entirely too many passes. And you look at his final numbers, and it's like, hey, he set a career high for overall yardage. Well, they didn't necessarily want to be throwing from behind for as long as they were last night. That completely threw them off their game plan. Credit to Utah for taking care of business and then some in game 1.
Graham Mertz sucks. Dude,
he's not great. I agree.
Like, he wasn't good enough to get it done at Wisconsin. He actually got their coach fired at Wisconsin. And it's crazy that Florida's in such a bad spot that they had to go to him. I mean, what has Wisconsin done offensively over the last few years, right? Like, when you think of great quarterback play in college football, you sure as hell don't think about Wisconsin.
Yeah, and I know Mertz was there as a starter for, it feels like going back 3 seasons. Maybe it was just 2. But Wisconsin always has these guys that come out of the gate and look decent. And then you sit there and watch them through the rest of the season and maybe into the next year. And you're like, holy cow, this guy is dog shit. And oftentimes they will end up transferring elsewhere. Who was the guy who ended up at Notre Dame a couple years ago?
Jack Cohn?
Yeah, Jack Cohn. And there was somebody before that too. He was a lefty. He had one of the biggest rag arms I've ever seen. And he ended up playing in the state of Florida somewhere too. I can't remember where exactly off the top of my head. It's like a string of those guys coming through that program. Hopefully for Wisconsin fans, their luck is about to change in that regard because Luke Fickell is now in place. But yeah, the quarterback position for the Badgers has left a lot to be desired over the last decade plus.
And the good news is we hired that coach on our coaching staff. The guy that we're dunking on a bunch right now. He's more of a running guy. He's helping out with the run game, I hope. We'll let Sark handle the quarterbacks.
And supposedly he was beloved by people at Wisconsin too. And, Wisconsin is an area where people are super nice and super friendly. And it's pretty genuine too. I say that as having lived in Chicago, drink up. And so a lot of folks felt bad that they had to get rid of him, but they also realized that it was time too, that he was maybe a little bit too nice of a guy for that head coach position.
Sorry about that noise. Just banged the water bottle against the table. That's on me there. I feel for Billy Napier at Florida, dude. I really do.
Yeah.
Because Dan Mullen wanted to get fired. Like, I'm 100% convinced that guy just didn't want to coach anymore, and he wanted the buyout money, and he got his wish. He not only did the team suck his last year, he stopped recruiting.
Exactly.
So, like, Billy Napier, I think is a good football coach. He was really good at Louisiana before this, but he needs time. Like, you thought Tom Herman needed time replacing Charlie. It's worse out there in Florida with where the cupboard is right now. And he's not going to get that time because Florida is Florida and they want to win every year.
Very reminiscent to Jimbo's final year in Tallahassee and maybe Jimbo's last season in College Station too. By the way, thank you, Cole Hornibrook. That was the lefty quarterback's name, who was a complete rag arm and was okay as like a freshman or sophomore or something. And then they had to labor through his just rag arm ducks that he was throwing downfield for another season or two before he transferred to a Florida school for his final year.
Oh, man. And one quick number about Nebraska before we bring on our guest and make our next announcement here on Texas Sports Unfiltered. They showed this graphic on the screen, Trey, and obviously you have to add one to each. Last 5 seasons for Nebraska, 25 one-score losses, more than anyone in college football, 16 blown second-half leads, more than anyone in college football. You have to add one to each of those because of what went down in Minneapolis last night. We have it rough as Texas fans. We've had some tough years. No one's going to argue against that. We've got it better than they do in Lincoln, Nebraska, man.
Sounds like they've been coached by Tom Herman for the last however long you just mentioned that time frame.
Yeah, he would have been better than some of the coaches that they've had in recent years. All right, another announcement. We teased it, and we're really excited about this one. The currently unnamed afternoon drive program. We announced one of the members on that show earlier today. Jeff Howe of Horns 24/7 is going to be a part of the rotation for that show. Trey, you're going to be a huge part of that show as well. I guess that's worthy of an announcement. And another guy. Oh, man, we love this guy. You've seen him on this channel a couple of times, but we're super excited that he's about to be an even bigger part of Texas Sports Unfiltered. He will be a part of the afternoon drive program from 3 to 5, a couple of days a week. We get a drum roll, please. Oh, he literally just left. We lost him. I don't know if that was a part of his bit. I don't know if he just wanted to piss us off, pull a bit on us, like his first bit as a member of Texas Sports Unfiltered. But literally, right as I was about to click the button after you started your drum roll to bring this dude on, he just disappeared. And that's fitting because when we tell you who this is, it will not surprise any of you that technology has given this guy a hard time, dude.
Oh, he's almost certainly cursing technology right now as he gets reconnected.
Oh my God, that is amazing.
People might think this is a bit right now. This is not a bit. That actually just happened the way BK is describing it. It was perfect timing.
He texted me, "I'm breaking up, restarting my computer." So maybe your drum roll wasn't good enough. I don't know what just happened there. Maybe good comment. Dude, do you have Spectrum? I got to ask you this.
I do not, but I know he does because he called me and we talked about it as soon as he realized that he wasn't able to watch the Florida-Utah game last night.
What a sick joke that was. And yeah, this guy's going to give us his thoughts because I know he's got a few to talk about with that. I couldn't watch the start of these games. I was at the JCC. Shout out to the Jewish Community Center out there.
Hoops.
An event. No, there was an event called the Orange Blood Brothers. That's a group that gets together, and Chip Brown was actually the speaker at this event. It's like a big get-together they have at the start of every Longhorn football season. Chip did a great job. He got a bunch of people to download the app and subscribe to the channel. But I didn't get home until no. He's a speaker.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I don't know if he was comfortable around all of those right to left readers. I might have made him a little bit nervous.
You guys allow Gentiles into the JCC for speeches and whatnot.
Dude, we're like Sark on the recruiting front. We're looking for bodies, okay? we need some people on our team. So yeah, we'll take everybody. All right, I think we've got him now. I think he's good to go. We are going to bring him on. Super excited about this guy. One of our best friends, one of the best, if not the best, radio personalities in the history of this city. You've seen him a couple of times on this channel, but now you'll see him even more as a part of the Unnamed Afternoon Drive program a couple of times a week. He is the great Kevin Dunn. KD, do you read me? Uh-oh.
Oh, no.
Yo, I read you. Can you hear me?
Yes. Can you hear us?
Boy, this is hanging on by a wire.
Hello? Can you hear me?
Yeah. Can you hear us?
I can hear you, but it's been messed up the whole time. I think it's maybe my computer, but you guys were going back and forth. I did place 3 ugly phone calls to Time Warner Cable this morning, or Spectrum, sorry. I probably should have called Time Warner. But so I think that I may be getting screwed job. I wasn't as nice as I should have.
Well, we wanted to get you on for a number of different reasons, but I definitely wanted to hear your thoughts about the Spectrum mishap on ESPN. When you tried to turn on Utah, Florida, hell, you're probably watching. There he goes. All right. Well, Kevin Dunn, we'll get this fixed by next week. Oh my God. We will get this fixed. Kevin's already been on as a fill-in with you, with me. His signal is normally better than this. We'll make sure it's better than this. But yeah, it's going to be Monday to Friday, 3 to 5. Trey, you're going to be there just about every day. And then your co-host will alternate between Jeff Howe and Kevin Dunn. Also, I'm sure there will be times where all 3 of you guys are talking together. There will be times Kevin and Jeff are talking together. There will be times I'll be a part of it. We're going to add a few more people into that rotation as well. The currently unnamed, so maybe we'll take names or maybe we leave it as the currently unnamed Afternoon Drive program on Texas Sports Unfiltered. It starts Monday from 3 to 5. Trey, you're obviously a huge part of it. You're leading this operation, and I know you can't wait to get things going, and I can't wait to listen too.
Yeah, look, to get to do shows with Kevin again on the regular is something that I cannot state the excitement enough through my monotone, computerized sounding voice, but also to get to do something regular with Jeff Howe through football season and beyond. I'm excited about that too. He's shown over the last few years that he's not only somebody who really knows his stuff as it pertains to Texas Longhorn football, but he's a dude who likes to mix it up too, and he likes to have fun, and he likes to poke fun at things at times, and really just have fun with the absurdity of sports and even life at times. So it is going to be a blast. Possible programming note for next week. Maybe this will be part of the Wednesday show that I may or may not be a part of, given on a given week. I'm supposed to do an hour interview with Aaron Franklin on Tuesday morning, so I may try and replay that for the people on Wednesday afternoon as part of the Wednesday broadcast. So some things like that in the works as well, where I try and get big name folks, sometimes from Longhorn land, sometimes people that I'm just selfishly interested in having conversations with that I think you people will like out there too.
Dude, you're the best interviewer I know. So excited to have that conversation on the channel. We've talked about this off the air. Any great conversation you have, put it up. We'll put it up on Texas Sports Unfiltered to give people the opportunity to hear from some big-time figures in sports, but also in life as well.
No, that is not the name, DJ. I appreciate the creativity, but I'm not going to refer to Kevin and Jeff as cuckers.
What about this one? This one's a little bit more up your alley since you are apparently the cuck on this station.
Hair of the Dog insists on that, but he is wrong. I'm sorry. You're just wrong on that, Hair of the Dog. You can hold on to it as long as you want to. It's incorrect. Bad information. It's not disinformation. It's not misinformation. It's malinformation, BK, as the kids like to say nowadays.
I don't think kids are saying malinformation these days, Trey.
That's the new term for mis/disinformation.
They've gone from mid to malinformation.
They've gone from dis to miss to malinformation.
Oh my God. Your kids probably hate you. If they don't, they will hate you very soon for doing stuff like that in public.
No, they hate me. They hate me.
Smart kids. Smart kids. All right. Well, we'll see if Kevin comes back on. That hilarious announcement. That's how things go. Man, I feel like we're a part of 104.9 La Raza with our signal quality there. That's what that thing felt like. That won't be an issue moving forward. I promise. We'll get it squared away.
I accidentally flipped it onto 104.9 today when I was driving to Covert. Complete accident, but my phone was not hooked up for some reason to the car. And I flipped it over, and sure enough, I don't know if it's La Raza is the name of the station, but yeah, it is definitely not whatever is supposed to be broadcasting on the horn anymore.
Hey, their loss is our gain here at Texas Sports Unfiltered. We're putting together an awesome team, and we've got more coming. Actually, now I'm pretty fucking tired. I'm gonna take a rest and watch some college football this weekend. But starting Monday, 8 to 5, every single day, pregame and postgame for Texas Longhorn game days. There's nowhere else to go. Don't flip. Don't be searching and surfing for channel. People still surf for channels. Probably not. Just keep it locked into the Texas Sports Unfiltered app or right here on the TSU YouTube page. It's going to be one link, by the way, throughout the entirety of the day. So literally, you just click one link and boom, you'll be able to watch all of the shows back to back to back to back to back on the app or on YouTube. We're making this as easy as possible for y'all. And the new official lineup gets rolling on Monday.
That's right. I'm going to insist that you actually take a break and watch some football this weekend, BK. It's your job, and it's going to give you a slight reprieve from all the hard work that you've been putting into this station. CB has an interesting idea for show name. I've been thinking about show names, thought about releasing them on our show just to see if anybody has strong thoughts one way or the other. But Shooting the Bull is one that continues to cross my mind. It was what yours and my first show was called, and I had a wonderful audio clip that sounded like a bull getting shot and killed, which is morbid, but it's kind of up my style too. But Shooting the Bull is in the realm of possibilities. I've thought about the Longhorn Misfits, especially with KD in the mix. I don't know if Jeff wants to be considered a misfit though necessarily, and a couple of others too. So
okay. Yeah, we'll keep taking feedback too, and we'll determine what's a great name for our currently unnamed afternoon program. Trey, we did no show prep today because we've been meeting and getting a bunch of other stuff done. Do you have a where are we at story today?
To be completely honest, I do not, BK. Thank you for asking, because if you'd just gone to Gundy, which we can still do that, then I would have been unprepared. But I think I have an idea, I guess, for what we can talk about here at the end. So why don't you go ahead and fire up Coach Gundy anyhow?
Where are we at in society today?
Right, it is your daily look at stories that show we as a people are headed in a wrong direction. Very occasionally, I will provide something that gives a sense of optimism, that has us all saying to ourselves, hey, maybe we as a people are starting to figure something out. Perhaps all is not lost. Today, I'm not sure which way this one is going, BK, because you and I are going to give our season predictions for Texas Longhorn football and maybe college football on the whole, too, to a lesser degree.
Okay.
So let's start.
All right. Me first.
Let's start with your prediction on what Texas does in the regular season record. If there are, let's say 2, 3, God, maybe even 4 losses, what you think those losses will be, and then we'll go from there.
Okay. I will go 9-3 as the regular season record for the University of Texas. That's the under for those of you keeping track at home. The 3 losses, Tuscaloosa. I think we're going to have a losing skid.
Oh.
K-State at TCU.
All right.
Those are my 3 losses right now in the regular season for Texas.
At TCU, really?
Yep. And I don't think TCU is very good. There's the UTSD kicking in right there. I mean, they've owned us since joining the Big 12. They're 8-3 against Texas since joining the conference. They lost a lot. I've been dunking on them a lot this offseason. They're not going to be that good of a football team, but I'm trying to find where that third loss is going to be. And that's the one that I will go with right now.
That's
what
tough.
about you?
11-1.
Whoa.
The one loss. No, it's not going to be in Tuscaloosa next weekend. It is going to be during conference play. And it is that tricky game that I've been talking about for several weeks now, that first conference game in Waco. I think that serves as a sort of wake-up call for this Texas football team, and they take care of business the rest of the way. Obviously, make it into the Big 12 championship game, win that, and do find their way into the college football playoff.
Oh, my God. Let's go. The eternal pessimist, Trey Elling, picking the Longhorns not only to win the Big 12 title, but to make it to the CFP.
Dude, it's a good thing that this shirt cuts off at the nipple level because there is burnt orange Kool-Aid spilled all over the belly part of this shirt right now, and I am chugging it, and it's not enough. Give me more.
Wow, you want that all over you, don't you?
Oh yeah, just pour all the burnt orange Kool-Aid all over me. Take it all over my face.
Why are you doing that with your hands? That's not how people drink Kool-Aid.
Pouring cups all over me, BK.
Oh God, there's something else that's going to be all over you if you keep doing that, I think. All right, so Texas in the playoffs. So what seed? 1 through 4? Like, it doesn't matter. We'll take whatever. My God, if we make it to the playoff and get our ass beat by Georgia in the 1-4 game, I don't care. That's a conference title, and that's a playoff berth. Okay, whatever. Now, I'll probably care at the time, but I don't care right now. But who else, I guess, do you have in your playoff while we're on this debate?
I have Texas as a 3 seed. Before we get to that, I do have to ask you, because Texas at 9-3 could go either way. Do you have them playing for a Big 12 championship that first weekend of December?
I do. I have them playing for and winning the Big 12 championship this year against K-State. So I think they get some revenge against the Purple Cats and end up going 1-1 against them this year.
Yeah, part of me wondered if it would be Texas Tech as their opponent in that game, but fuck you, Texas Tech. It is going to be Kansas State.
Oh God,
I'm on one right now, dude. Taking 620 in the middle of the day was bad for my health and maybe good for this show right now.
So who's your CFP as you reach for more Kool-Aid and more other weird things?
Oh, pour it all over me,
God, I hate this.
My other 3 teams in the college football playoff are Michigan as the 1 seed. I have come around on them. I actually think that they are going to run the table in the regular season and go undefeated heading into the college football playoff. I think USC is probably the 4 and my 2 seed coming out of the SEC. God, I hate to do this, but got to stick with Georgia. I don't think Alabama makes it to the SEC championship game this year. So my guess is that it's Georgia versus LSU in that game. And Georgia does what they need to secure another SEC title and that 2 seed in the college football playoff.
Okay. So Georgia, Michigan, Texas, and USC.
Yep.
Okay. I'll go with Georgia. I'll go with the Ohio State University. Michigan's not beating them 3 years in a row. I still can't believe they beat them 2 years in a row. I still can't believe they beat them 1 year in a row. The Ohio State University. Clemson. People are sleeping on them this year. I'm drinking the Cade Klubnik Kool-Aid, and I'm not doing that weird hand signal when talking about a 19-year-old guy, all right? That's weird. I'm not doing what you were doing. I think Clemson's going to be good. I think people are sleeping on them a little bit too much this year. And last but not least, LSU. Yep. The SEC gets 2. Hell, we might have a Georgia LSU SEC title game, and then they might play each other or at least both be in the playoff together. I'm banking on LSU and the year 2 luck that they've had with Kim Mulkey, women's hoops, Jay Johnson in baseball, second-year head coaches winning national titles. I don't think that's going to be LSU. I don't think they're winning it all this year, but I like them. I like them.
I know that this is the second to last year of the 14 playoff, or does the 14 playoff start in 24, or the 12-team playoff start in 24?
Next year.
Okay. So I realize that this is the last year of the 14 playoff, I guess literally right now. But I really hope, because we didn't see this last year, and I thought it was kind of stupid. If you have two teams playing for a conference championship game and both are good enough to get into the college football playoff, I want to see those two teams play in that semifinal. I don't want to see a championship game that is a replay of the conference championship game, if at all possible.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. We've had that opportunity a couple of times with two teams in the same conference, and they usually separate them. I think they've always separated them to this point, but who knows? We did get a Bama-Georgia title game a few years ago. That one wasn't too bad, though. All right, we're out of time. Shout out to our sponsors: Altstad Beer, Covert Auto Group, Rain Vault, AV Consultation, Centex Tickets, 7-Eleven, Relax the Back, Woods Comfort Systems, Last Stand Hats, and Top Gun Rentals and Lawn Equipment. Congrats to our new members of Texas Sports Unfiltered, and thank you to our new members of Texas Sports Unfiltered for joining the team. The new lineup will be rolling out on Monday, but these guys coming on now, they've been a part of the lineup. They're not new anymore. They're the old guys in the barn. Coming up right now here on Texas Sports Unfiltered, Chip and Zay. Trey, we'll talk to you pregame and postgame tomorrow. Y'all stay safe and hook 'em. Boys, take over.
All right, fellas. Appreciate ya. In the immortal words of Judy Brown, whose birthday was yesterday, happiness is a choice, and we're happy you're spending some time with us. It's Chip and Zay. Zay, what is going on, my man? We are having a free-for-all football Friday. We got Texas football tomorrow at 2:30. Are you ready?
Hell yeah, I'm ready. It's finally time, Chip. The day is almost here, one day away for Texas opening up the 2023 season. So much anticipation, so much at stake. We've been talking about it for so long, and now it's finally time to get down. And yeah, man, our Texas Sports Unfiltered family is just getting bigger and bigger. Shout out to Adam Wagner and Rodney Rodriguez for their new show, Chaos Theory, coming out next Monday from
Chaos Theory.
It's big time, man. I love both those guys, 10 to 11, and we're getting deeper. Jeff Howe and with Kevin Dunn and Trey Elling switching off right after us from 3 to 5. Like what BK has done here has been absolutely magnificent. And
Hardball Harge, hanging with Harge.
Hardball Harge, yeah, hanging with Harge right after Rodney and Wags, man, from 11 to 12. And yeah, our team, we're like the 92 Dream Team, baby. I just tweeted it at Zay_Collier on Twitter, but that's how I'm feeling. It's been a blessing to be a part of this, and yeah, man, to be with grade A guys like yourself, and we're just getting started here. But yeah, very excited about game day tomorrow, and football season's finally here, my guy.
Come on, man. I want you to sound like you sound when you're hanging on the rim and dunking on somebody and like throwing your see? That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking
about. Well, hey, we got a loaded show, folks. We got former Texas tight end Cade Brewer will be joining the show at 1:30. And John McClane will be joining us. Longtime Houston sports personality, columnist, formerly of the Houston Chronicle, but now we'll get y'all the deets on John McClane, but NFL Hall of Fame voter guy will regale us with some Gil Brandt stories and give his thoughts on everything Houston, the Astros, the Cougs who opened the season against UTSA. And we'll get to that. Dana Holgerson firing off some shots at Texas and Texas A&M this week on his radio show. He also said, "I've never been fired, and I don't plan on it." How about that?
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Let them know, Dana. Let them know.
Come on.
You came to play
Danny.
coming into the Big 12. You ain't on no hot seat. It's very cold for you. It's like you sitting on ice. Like, don't let them see you sweat, Dana. And yeah, let them know you never been fired before. That ain't even a part of your pedigree. So yeah, I appreciate that with his slick back hair and stuff. Talk about Jerry curl and some Soul Glow, Chip. That dude Dana, what he has going on there. Hey man, salute to him.
Hey,
it's something.
If he's coaching in a windy game, he looks like the Nick Nolte mugshot. I mean, that hair is everywhere. I'm like, Dana, man. just cut it off, man. You probably look good.
Let it ride. Let it ride. That might be motivation, you know, kind of like Deion Sanders. You look good, you play good. You know?
Look good, play good, feel good, look good, play good.
Yeah.
And JW Crunch is on to one of our topics today. Jalen Milroe, as we said yesterday, that would be the case. Jalen Milroe will be the starter for the Alabama Crimson Tide when they take on Middle Tennessee tomorrow. And Jalen Milroe, I'm just telling you, KJ Jefferson reminds me of KJ Jefferson. KJ Jefferson, Arkansas quarterback. Texas run defense better be on point. And that's one of the things I'm looking for, Zay. And we'll talk to Cade Brewer about this. We got a lot of things to get into. Obviously, the ACC is expanding. We'll get to that. But Texas football, I did a little column this morning at horns247.com, 5 questions I think Texas needs to answer in this season opener. And one of them is that run defense. How's that run defense looking? You know, because Alabama's going to bring all their muscle in that run game in Tuscaloosa a week from today. So Tavondre Sweat, we've heard he's been a monster in fall camp, that he's inspired. He's in a contract year. He loves lining up next to Byron Murphy. He's throwing people around. He's disrupting Texas's run game. So can he, put on a show tomorrow at 2:30 against Rice? That offensive line from Rice, nowhere near the level of what Texas is going to see against Alabama, obviously in Tuscaloosa. But it will be, you want to see him dominate. You don't want to see him play down to the competition. You want to see him dominate. So let's see it. T. Sweat, A. Collins, Byron Murphy, Vernon Broughton, and Jalen Ford. That run defense, Anthony Hill, David Benda, whoever. And we probably need to give a little love to David Benda. He, according to Pro Football Focus, he was the second-rated run defender on the team last year behind Moro Ajomo. So come on, David Benda. Show us what you got.
Yeah, and David Benda, he knows those freshmen are behind them. He knows the talent that they have, and LaFau and Anthony Hill, and we know Mo Blackwell, he won't be a part of this week, and I doubt if he'll be a part of next week when they go up to Tuscaloosa. But yeah, David Benda, he has a lot to prove this year. I mean, DeMarion Overshown, he covered so much for this defense in this last year before going off to the draft and playing for the Dallas Cowboys, which DeMarion, obviously, we wish him a speedy recovery. But yeah, Dave Benda, I mean, we know what Jalen Ford could bring to the table. That guy should have been Defensive Player of the Year in the Big 12 last season, and he got hosed. So that's some bulletin board material for him. But Dave Benda, that's an interesting stat that you threw out there, Chip. Like him being behind Morrow and number 2, and stopping the run on this team. That says a lot, and kind of shows that he's a very underrated player. Now, there's more to the linebacker position than stopping the run defense, obviously. But as far as Jalen Milroe getting the start this week against Middle Tennessee, that don't mean a damn thing to me, because that guy on the sideline coaching that team, he knows that Tyler Buckner and Ty Simpson, their helmets are going to be very close by on the sidelines. Now, I know backup quarterbacks, they're a huge part of the game plan and help getting the plays out there and just staying locked in with their headsets on and whatnot. But those helmets are going to be very close by, just in case Jalen Milroe mucks up a little bit and Nick Saban doesn't like what he sees. That dude could get pulled real quick. So even if we see Jalen Milroe have a terrific game against Middle Tennessee, if you're Pete Kwiatkowski and crew, you're going to go into next week saying, okay, yes, we're going to scout this last game from Middle Tennessee, but you also have to account for the other two quarterbacks. And that's just what it is with that team. You just haven't seen enough with anybody yet. We're only in week 1 this week, which, a couple of games last night, one was a dud, one was all right, but it was good to have college football on. And yeah, there's just not enough film on these teams to fully get, just that feel on what this team does well and what this team doesn't do well. And yes, you could go back into previous years, but now with Tommy Rees being over there, they might look completely different. And you've said it, Chip, on this show. Hey, Nick Saban, he might go back to that old school football like he did in the early 2010s, where it was just giving it to one of those high quality running backs like a Mark Ingram, like a, Trent Richardson, Derrick Henry, and ride those guys till the sunset. It's only been a few years ago where he sent all these big time quarterbacks who are now starting on 4 different teams, the Mac Jones, Jalen Hurtses, Tua, like all those guys, Bryce Young, then the quarterback play has been elite. So if it's not elite, then they're just going to protect the ball and run that thing. And I think this defense with Tavondre Sweat, with Byron Murphy, you got everything you want to stop a good running team, but there's still some question marks like a David Benda, Anthony Hill, LaFau, like the edge rushers and Colton Vasek and Ethan Burke and Justice Finkley. We know what Barron Sorrell could do, but those are the things I'm going to be watching this weekend against Rice to see what Rice does to attack those weak spots right now on the Horns defense.
Yeah. I mean, this is going to be, a chance to see, can they stop the run because Alabama bringing it, and B, can Texas impose its will in the run game, the offensive line, Jonathan Brooks, CJ Baxter, Keelan Robinson. This is a 2 years ago, Zay, Texas ran for 427 yards against Rice and averaged 10.4 per carry. I'm not saying it has to be all that, but this is supposed to be a better football team than the one 2 years ago that went 5-7, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, let's see it. Impose your will on the Rice Owls and let everybody know, oh, okay, Bijan Robinson's gone, Roshan Johnson's gone, but we can run the football. Looky here. We can run the football.
Send that message, man. You got to send that message to everybody in the nation because, again, a lot of these big-time media people are picking Texas to win the Big 12 and get to the college football playoff. And some guys might see that as pressure. Other guys need to see that as, okay, yeah, we do have what it takes, and we need to prove it. We haven't seen that in recent years. And, yeah, you got to send a message to the whole nation, not just Alabama next week, because you never know who you're going to play in the postseason. You got to send a message to the Michigans and the USCs, the Ohio States, the Georgias that, oh, man, if we see Texas later on, they ain't gonna be nothing to muck with. Shout out to the Wu-Tang Clan. That's how Texas has to take this mentality. Texas football ain't nothing to muck with. That's how you gotta roll. And again, lots on Sark. Just a lot's on him. He's so unproven in so many different ways. And now that he has all this talent, you can't get those second half just droughts that we saw last year, not giving it to the right people at the right time, a la Bijan Robinson, just not getting the rock, very much in the TCU game or the Oklahoma State game. And that's going to be huge. And hopefully bringing in guys like Jody Camillus and guys like Paul Chris could help switch Sark's thinking a little bit, especially Paul Chris. When you run the football, like, oh, Sark, the clock might be in, I know you like to put up points. I know you like to see that ball fly around. I know we got this very deep wide receiver team, but if we run the football and get these first downs, look at this running back room. A lot of guys should be able to get it done. Even Keelan Robinson running in between the tackles. So let's use these guys. You just mentioned that O-line, just enforcing their will.
You mentioned that clock rule. That clock rule's real. Like,
it's real.
It's real. I mean, Mac Brown is complaining about it. Like, he's
come on, Mac.
Oh yeah, Mac. Remember, he said there was an epidemic, a tackling epidemic sweeping the nation a few years ago. Well, he doesn't like this clock rule. He thinks we're depriving fans and players of college football, but that clock rule is real, and it's shortening the game, and everybody's taking notes during these early games to see how it's going to impact numbers of possessions and all that. So yeah, man, if you can get a lead and you can run the football, man, you can shorten that game up big time. No doubt.
And even though I think this team should be scoring 40 a game, depending on the matchup, I'm cool with some, 21-17 games if you control the football, because you're not going to blow everybody out. There's going to be games where Quinn Ewers gets out there and we see some of the struggles that we saw last season. Hopefully we don't. If it was my say, I would say this team goes 12-0. Quinn Ewers is up for the Heisman. Xavier Worthy's going to be a first-round pick. Jalen Ford is going to be a first-round pick. They're going to have at least 15 guys drafted on this team. Like, that is grade A, just elite for me, elite thinking and dreaming. But being realistic, in the past, we haven't seen that. And this Big 12, like, say what you want about the schedule. I think the schedule's thick. I think there's a ton of trap games. I think you're facing a lot of good coaches. And hell, UCF, they put it on Kent State yesterday. You've been talking about UCF a little bit, Chip, and you think that they're going to be able to upset Kansas State when that matchup comes. Like, there's some teams that can really get it going in this conference that just got brought in. So, look, I think, again, the talent is there for Texas, and I think they have the most talent in the Big 12, but everything, rides on what they do on the field and Sark's decision-making. It has to be better than what we've seen these last 2 years.
Yeah, and that's going to come into play more, or it should, next week. If that's an issue this week, we got issues, folks. Because this, as Joe K said, Texas fans want to see Texas up big at halftime so they can see the youth invasion in the second half. So they can see all those stud recruits from the 22 and 23 recruiting class, Malik Murphy, Arch Manning. It's an impressive list. We've been talking about it all week, whether it's Anthony Hill or Jonte Cook or Ryan Niblett, Trevor Gooseby, Sadir Mitchell, Derek Williams. I mean, all these cats should be in the game in the second half of the opener against Rice. And so, that's another one. Like, what young players are we going to be talking about Saturday night that really stood out? And Quinn Ewers. I mean, okay, we know Quinn, he's remade his body. He's a little too light for my liking. 218 to 195. Come on, Quinn. Got to leave some light. Got to have some armor.
You try to have him like Ben Roethlisberger, like all husky up there?
I just need him over 2 bills. I need him over 2 bills, Zay. I need him to look a little more like you and a little less, I'm fat, but I need him to look like you, big, strong. I don't need him.
I look like Jamarcus Russell now. You don't need him to look like me. That ain't a good look. that ain't a good look. Which I'm good with that, but I ain't playing on Saturday. Yeah, maybe he needs to eat that Chick-fil-A. You give him a little bit of that Chick-fil-a back, huh? Is that what you're saying?
John Brown talks about it's okay to eat dirty as long as you're working out, baby. But anyway, Quinn Ewers, we got to see it now. He's got the new hair, the new body, the new attitude, the new voice. Let's see how well he sees the field. Let's see how well he finds the open man. And because here's the thing, we're watching the games last night, Zay, and we wanted to see what Florida had with Graham Mertz. And there was, Paul Christ allegedly told Billy Napier, hey, man, we mismanaged this guy. We misused this guy. There's a lot of talent there. And then last night, you're watching it, and if you just look at the box score, 31 of 44, 300 yards, looks good. No, he was missing open receivers. Like he didn't see the field. And look, maybe it's nerves. It was tough. It's on the road. You're playing at Utah. Utah's a good team. Utah won, the Pac-12 last year, whatever. But man, Graham Mertz, I needed you to see those receivers that were breaking wide open, because that could have been a different game. That really was Utah in total control of that football game until Florida scored late and made it 24-11. But that game was kind of a no-doubter for Utah. So let's see if Quinn Ewers is seeing the field. And like A.D. Mitchell told his dad, we got so many weapons, someone's going to be open on every play. Can Quinn find that guy? And we're going to talk to Cade Brewer, former Texas tight end, here in a minute, get his thoughts. He was with JT Sanders during JT's redshirt year. He's got thoughts on this football team, and we'll get his take as a guy who knows a bunch of players who are still on this team, and see, what he's thinking. We'll talk to him in about 10 minutes, Zay. But
nice.
You've got, real quick, and I know we need to hit this, the ACC obviously expanding with my SMU Mustangs. Are you kidding me? I mean, SMU.
Yo, would you have ever thought this would happen?
I mean, when you offer to take nothing for 7 years, hey, we'll rake the traps. We will caddy for you. We'll cut your lawn.
Yeah, is this an internship? What is this?
Kind of.
7 years? Man, that's a minute.
I mean, SMU's got some rich old dudes who are willing to pay the freight. It's like
they do.
It's like when Jerry Jones offered to pay for Dart for an entire year to build his new stadium where the old Texas Stadium was, and the city of Irving's like, you're not really going to do that. Yeah, he would have. And SMU's like, yeah, we'll take nothing for 7 years. You can take the money that ESPN is going to give you and go give it to Clemson and Florida State, North Carolina, and see if you can get them to stick around. And if you can't, then they'll leave and we'll be here, and you'll still have at least 12 members, which is the key number in all of this, because as long as the ACC stays, if they drop below, let's see, they can reduce revenue if the ACC drops below 15 members. So with FSU, UNC, and Clemson, voting against this,
shocker there.
Possibly looking around.
Yeah.
If they leave, okay, you're still at 15. You're fine.
And that keeps everything good with ESPN and
keeps them
their media, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, look, Cal, Stanford, SMU. I mean, I'm happy for SMU. Look, you got to get to the table, no matter how you got to get to the table. I mean, even if you got to climb in through the window and sneak in, just get to the table, because you don't want to be left behind. When this music stops, they're not going to be adding anyone. I still think it's going to end up being SEC and Big Ten, and maybe some of those members get pushed out ultimately. But,
so like the SEC and the Big Ten, or because it's basically becoming the NFL, but they would be like the NFC and the AFC.
Yeah. Like, I mean, looking back, Vanderbilt, Northwestern, we can talk about those schools, but even the Big Ten's addition of Rutgers and Maryland, like Rutgers is like losing money like crazy because their football's not good. They're not selling tickets. They're in over their heads with facility construction that they got to pay off still. I mean, Maryland has done nothing. Those were mistakes by the Big Ten. So Purdue, I don't know. I mean, just look at the level of football. And DeLost odds will always say, you got to beat somebody. But I don't know. I mean, when it's all said and done, when we shake this thing out and there's the top 30 or 40 schools, some collaboration, and it's so crazy because it's shaping up as like Fox, Big Ten, ESPN, SEC. So you just call it the Fox division and the ESPN division of college football, and away we'll go, But
Yeah. I need to stop saying Power 5 because that's definitely not a thing anymore with the way the Pac-12 is just, becoming extinct. Like Power 4, I better get used to that. But yeah, Stanford and Cal Berkeley following suit with SMU. And man, that's going to be weird. Like Boston College versus Cal Berkeley. Like think about those kids, like that traveling and stuff. Like that's insane. And we know it's happening with USC and UCLA going to the Big Ten, and you mentioned, playing teams like Rutgers and Maryland and stuff. But yeah, I don't know where it's going. Like it's going crazy, the absolute wild, wild west. And you're right, Chip, you just can't get left behind. Like you want to find the best opportunity for you and your program and the universities. And it seems like these schools are trying to do whatever. So we know what's going to happen with Colorado. We don't know yet with Arizona and Arizona State. It seems like Washington and Oregon are leaning to the Big Ten too. So yeah, the Pac-12 and Utah, the team that's probably the best right now out of everybody, being back-to-back Pac-12 champs. Like they looked really good last night. Say what you want about Mertz and the Wisconsin transfer being at Florida, which Billy Napier, like he made some very questionable decisions last night. I thought going forward on fourth down, and they tried to run the ball. Everybody and their mama knew that was coming. And then being down 17-3, that pick that Mertz threw to make it 24-3, that was game right there. So that, SEC definitely ain't the Sun Belt coming from Raging Cajuns, what Napier did. But yeah, I just, you think about guys, we've talked about it with Jeff Traylor and UTSA, like Traylor knows what's going down. He knows all these teams mixing and matching and stuff and moving around. Like you do not want to get left behind, and you could easily get left behind if you stay at the same place. And sometimes the grass is greener on the other side. Big Ten, they found that out by trying to bring in Rutgers and Maryland, and obviously that backfiring. So I think them going out and getting obviously USC and UCLA, but also getting an Oregon and a Washington, that would definitely help them. But gosh, man.
Yeah, I mean, you add Oregon and Washington on top of USC and UCLA. I was talking to a source at Fox last night. All the money is going to be all the Fox money is going to be on the Big Ten, and ESPN's going to always make sure that they have the SEC, and then whatever's left is whatever's left. And I keep telling people, just pay attention. Big 12, they're all pumped. Brett Yormark's brought in the four corner schools from the Pac-12. They're getting $31.7 million. That money is not going to be there in 2030 when they have to renegotiate. So just enjoy it now, because that money right now is being paid by Fox and ESPN. But in 7 years, or what they start renegotiating in 2030, Fox is going to focus all of its money on the Big Ten. ESPN is going to focus all of its money on the SEC. And we don't know if the rights fees are going to keep going up with the streaming partners coming in. We may have finally hit the ceiling. We'll see. Look at this, Zay. My man, David Brownburner. Like, I'm like, hey man, trying to make my
David.
day.
You ain't lying, David.
trying to make him look gay?
That Chip Brown, he gets down, man.
Appreciate
better
that.
than all the rest. But hey, Chip, let me ask you this real quick before we bring on Cade. FSU, Clemson, North Carolina, what do you think they're going to do?
I mean, I think they're and here's the funny thing. Everyone's like, oh, they're going to leave. They're going to leave. I think we're kind of getting to that point where it's becoming unwieldy for the Big Ten and the SEC to try to maintain scheduling unless you go into like pods within the conference. I think everybody expects the SEC to try to reel in Clemson and North Carolina. And you might see Florida State end up in the Big Ten. But Florida State is not academically what the Big Ten is looking for. The Big Ten absolutely wants North Carolina. There is no doubt. But for the Big Ten, it's still a big deal if you are a top research institution. That is a big deal for those Big Ten presidents. So everybody expects there to be like this war to land Florida State, Clemson. I think there's a bigger war to land North Carolina, if you can believe that, because neither the Big Ten nor the SEC has, that state in its geographic footprint. And the SEC already has South Carolina and Florida, obviously. Now, Clemson and Florida State they're relevant college football programs. That matters. TCU under Gary Patterson was playing in the Rose Bowl right before they got invited to the Big 12. That matters. And, SMU, my little Mustangs, they're going to bowl games again. I mean, it's
came a long ways. Came a long way since giving Eric Dickerson, free whips and stuff, all that, which wasn't free. It was free for Eric, but it wasn't free for all those boosters. They've came a long way, Chip, and it's pretty crazy. And, it's interesting that Miami is kind of quiet with all this. I'm not surprised. North Carolina, for one, I think we just look at football when it comes to these things, but basketball, North Carolina, top 5 program of all time. So bringing that over, that gives you a whole nother aspect on, what you're trying to promote and stuff. But yeah, man, it's absolutely nuts. Like just seeing all these different matchups and, matchups that we never thought we would see. Like it's been crazy. And I don't know how it's going to look. I don't know how I feel right now. Like I'm adapting. I get it. I understand why it's happening, but hey, man, love the old school days of the Southwest Conference. And, I'm one of those cats. So, yeah, change is always going to happen. And this is part of it.
Yeah. No, it's nuts. So, hey, let's bring on the man himself. Lifetime Longhorn, former tight end for the Texas Longhorns. The one and only Cade Brewer. Cade, what's up, man?
How we doing, y'all? Doing pretty well.
Where the hell are you? Because I think what do I see behind you?
I know. I need to go with this.
There you go.
Yeah, man.
Hey, this is not my office. I promise you. It's actually my boss's office. He's a tech guy, unfortunately.
Oh, see, no, you're fine now.
You're I didn't know that was in the background. That's my fault.
You're all good now. So. Yeah, tell the folks what you're doing now, because you're out in the business world. Well, and you went to camp. Take us through where you've been since Texas and what you're doing now, so the folks know where they can find you.
Yeah, so after the 2021 season, obviously wanted to try the NFL route. So worked out a local guy here named Matt Neal. Been working out with him for a while. So I was doing all my pro day training, getting ready for the NFL with him. Obviously did the pro day. Draft comes up. Get undrafted to the Seahawks. And from there, go to mini camp, do good there. Then, OTAs, the mini camp where all the veterans come, do all that. Then, obviously go through camp, play 3 preseason games. Great experience. It was awesome playing under Coach Carroll, and, there's some elite athletes up at that level. So it was a great experience. Unfortunately, they released me after the preseason when they cut like 30 guys to get down to 53. But yeah, I was trying to work out for some other teams, was staying in shape pretty much through the whole 2022 football season into the spring. And, I kind of find myself, it's kind of time to turn the page a little bit, move on. And now I'm in real estate. So I'm an investment real estate agent here in Austin. I really just focus on, finding distressed homes for investors that are willing to come in, flip the houses. So I'm basically a real estate agent for investors, to sum it up a little bit. So other than that, it's going good. It's a little bit different than the football grind, but I'm in a good spot though. I'm happy where I'm at.
So like, if people want to find some investment real estate, how do they contact you?
Yeah, so I work for a company called New Western. So we're an investment real estate brokerage. We get around 40 to 60 properties a month. So look up New Western. You can inquire on my agent page. It's pretty easy. Look up Cade Brewer, New Western. You'll see my agent page, and kind of just go from there. I get around 40 to 60 a month, man. So I can supply y'all.
Look at that.
Day and ship, I can supply y'all too. So
let's go. That's where your competitive instincts kick in.
It's very similar. Just obviously it's not in football, it's in real estate, but this company is very, competitive environment, 100% commission. You got to eat what you kill. So that's what I like about it too, because if you take your foot off the pedal, foot off the gas a little bit, you're going to fall behind, and, you're not going to be making as much as what you want to be. So I think this is an appropriate job for me, and I'm liking it so far. I'm feeling it. So. And
you're still in Austin.
Yep. I'm over here in Austin. Office is over here right behind the Austin FC stadium. So pretty close.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah.
You can keep an eye on your Longhorns.
All the time. Yeah.
What do you think? Yeah. What do you think, Cade? I mean, the media's picked them to win the Big 12 for the first time since 2009, the last time they won it. What are your thoughts?
Well, I mean, we're Texas, right? We're always going to get hyped up every year. But I see why this year. We have the talent. A lot of people coming back. Obviously, Quinn's going into the second year. Got 1 year experience under his belt. Defense is looking solid. D-line, Tabondre, Byron Murphy, those guys, veteran guys that I think are, it all starts up front. And I think those guys really, set the tone. Especially when you go in week 2 in Alabama and Tuscaloosa, you're going to have stop that run, and and vice versa too with offensive line. So I'm really excited. I really am. I think we're gonna, hopefully come out the gates here with Rice. Got to blow them out, then go in Tuscaloosa, the bad taste in our mouth from last year, and bring it to them. So
yeah, we're speaking with Cade Brewer on Chip and Zay on Texas Sports Unfiltered. Cade, you look at the tight end room right now and you see JT Sanders and all the hype that he's getting, like other than Brock Bowers, he might be the second best tight end in the nation. And Gunnar Helm, what he's done lately, you can't sleep on him. What do you see with this tight end group? And do you think they're going to have some serious success this year based on what you just said, all the talent they have around them?
Yeah, I think obviously JT is a tremendous player. I knew as soon as he got on campus, I was like, yeah, this dude's going to be legit. You can just tell he's such a big dude. Not only is he's talented, he works hard, man. He really does. He really wants to get better. That first year or my last year there, he was little bit of in a development stage. I think going from high school to college, it's a lot different. The speed of the game is a lot different, and there's so many varieties of the differences. And I think JT was kind of in that development stage where he wasn't quite ready yet. And then with Coach Banks, Jeff Banks is obviously a tremendous coach, and he gets all the tight ends ready to go every week, and such a good development coach as well. And you saw it last year, right? Came out the gates, early, catching touchdowns. I think he set the tight end receiving like season record or something like that. So he's a talented player, man. I'm excited what he's going to do this year. I think he's obviously very talented, and future's bright with him.
Yeah, Banks. Banks. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to talk about Gunner.
Gunner Helm.
Gunner now. Gunner's also very talented. Very smart guy. Loves to get better. He is very physical. I think he's a really good run blocker. Obviously, he's very underrated in the passing game. He's not really talked of as much because of JT, but he's a really good player as well. Him and JT are, I think, are going to affect a lot of DBs, a lot of secondaries this year down the field. So
when you look at Banks, because Banks said that he kind of jumped JT in spring of last year and said, dude, you've got to pick it up, man. You've got to be more physical. You've got to believe, and you've got to deliver. And JT said, yeah, that was sort of the beginning for him. And then this spring, Gunnar Helm went to Banks and said, I'm pissed, man, because I can do everything that JT Sanders can do. I'm probably a better blocker than him, and I'm not getting any targets. And Banks said, yeah, you should be pissed. So keep going, because if he moves on after this year, you're the guy, and
exactly.
Keep coming, because your time is coming. What about Banks? Like, how would you describe him as a coach? People talk about his special teams meetings like it's must see, like it's Taylor Swift concert good. I mean, what's this guy like behind the scenes?
He's a fiery guy, man. He really is. He's like, he walks into a 6 a.m. meeting and it seemed like he's just drank like 5 Red Bulls. Like he is on high alert all the time. But it wakes us up. It creates an energy in the room where we're all like, oh crap, we gotta listen to this guy. And he's also a great guy too. I mean, you see him in the meeting room, he's all hard on you, but he really cares about his players as well. He wants you to get better. He wants to challenge you. He wants to push you to the extent. So he's such a great coach, man. I love that dude. I mean, piggyback on what you said about JT, that's when I was talking about that development stage his freshman year, he was, wasn't very, physical. And he could be, like he can be. He is right now. And he kind of just had to, instill confidence in himself to, on a divide zone block, go down and, be physical with the guy. And he kind of was, left out there in freshman year and that spring. So I think that's why. And then obviously Gunnar, he just got to keep his head down, right? JT is all, I think he's, obviously very well talented, but you never know. He could, God forbid, have an injury, and then, Gunnar's the next guy up, and here you are on the big stage, right? So I think he's just got to keep his head down, and it takes 1 year, man, to have a great year. Like, Mac Jones, Anthony Richardson, those guys, Anthony Richardson had like 13 starts. Now he's fourth pick overall and starting in the NFL. So you just got to, keep your head down when it comes to that stuff. So,
I want to ask you, because Sarkisian loves the 2 tight ends, and he uses the tight end for motion a lot. And that's obviously, sometimes it's to set up a block, but a lot of times it's to try to help the quarterback determine if the defense is in man or zone, to see if anyone's going with them. Can you just talk about that? And if you think that will change this season with the additions of all this receiver talent? Do they go to more, 4 receiver, 1 tight end personnel?
Yeah. To answer your question about the tight end motions and everything, yeah, he likes to move the tight ends around a lot. Obviously, like you said, he wants to see what the defense is doing. That's really the whole purpose of the motion. It's man or zone. Obviously, if DB is traveling with you, it's going to be man. If it's not, they're just rotating. It's going to be zone. So I think adding a motion, if it's tight end or a receiver, it really gives Coach Sark, a feel of what the defense is about to, bring on that play. And to answer your question about the personnel, I think it just all depends on, the talent you have. You got to, preface your offense around the talent you have. So, obviously there's a lot of tight end or receiver talent on this team. So, there could be a lot of 11, even 10 personnel, even though Sark doesn't like going 10 personnel. He loves using tight ends. Sark he's a run first kind of guy. You got to have a successful run game to set up the pass, right? If you can't run the ball, then it's going to be harder to throw the ball, right? So I think that, establishing the run game is going to open up the pass game because, running backs this year, we lost Rowe and Bijan, but I think Jonathan Brooks, obviously Keelan's, dangerous on the perimeter. So I think we'll be fine on the run. But obviously, if those receivers want to get balls, want to get touchdowns, you got to run the ball first, right, to open the pass. So, but yeah, it's all prefaced around talent. It's everywhere. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Cade, you obviously were there for Sark's first year, but have you seen a difference just in his mentality or the way he carries himself from the last year you were there, his first season, to coming into his third now?
Yeah, that first year was tough. It was tough for me too. Obviously, didn't want to leave my Texas career and I go into a bowl game and have a losing season, but I think that woke him up. Obviously, I'm not in the locker room anymore, so it's kind of hard to see where he's at now. But I assume that he picked up his pace, and the whole coaching staff has. And obviously being a coach at Texas comes with a lot of pressure. So I think he's handled that really well. And I think the first year was, a great learning lesson for him. Not only for him, the whole coaching staff, all the players. There needed to be a change in that locker room as well. There's a lot of guys that, didn't care. A lot of guys that, didn't buy into what Coach Sark was doing. I think now you saw last year some flashes, but now I think the guys are buying in, and I think it's going to be, a very successful season. So,
yeah. Follow up on that a little bit, Cade, because I think people, it was such a weird beginning. The season looked like it was going well and way up on Oklahoma, and then they come back, and then up on Oklahoma State, they come back, up on Baylor, they come back, and then it just kind of, slid. And so it looked like there were guys who were starting to hang their head. And was that residual from not having the kind of success that the team wanted to have under Tom Herman, and all the change in coaches? Even Herman had changed coaches just before that last season. And guys are like, man, I learned one system. Now I got to learn another system. What do you think that was?
Yeah, I think, I think we started out 4-1 and going into Oklahoma and got it to a hot start. We're like, yeah, we got this locked up. Then, obviously that happens. They come back, unbelievable. Obviously Caleb Williams comes in, generational guy. That's that. But I think just, losing that game really hurt, and it kind of just carried on throughout the season. Then I think we lost like 5 in a row. And, after that second or third loss, we just, the locker room kind of just fell apart a little bit. People really weren't believing in the team anymore. They kind of, moved on the next year. I'm going to transfer, all these, talks in the locker room, that was negative. And I think that's why it was, declined so much, because there wasn't enough belief. Like, there were some guys believing, wasn't everybody, but, majority of that locker room wasn't, filled with the guys that were bought in and wanted to, end that season, on a high note. So I think, it was tough, being in that locker room. I mean, in that year was it was a tough year. So, but I think they got it turned around. I can feel it. I really can. It's a lot of different feeling. I know I'm not in the locker room, but you can just tell, just being an outsider, it's going to be a lot different feeling this year. So,
yeah. Some of the guys. Go ahead, Zay.
Appreciate it. Cade, what made you stay? Because obviously you easily could have left. Your coach just got fired, Tom Herman, and now they're bringing in Steve Sarkisian. You could have easily left to who knows where. I'm sure you were getting calls and guys were, recruiting you and stuff. What went into the process of you saying, you know what, I want to buy into what Sark's doing here for my last year and ride it out as a Texas Longhorn?
Yeah, I think that I wanted to prove myself personally for another year. I think that, I didn't get as much attention that I thought I should have. And I wanted to prove, just come back another year and prove myself, put more film, for other coaches to see. And, just wanted to, like I said, prove myself again and believe that I can be that top tier NFL talent. That was reason for me personally. Then, and Sark came in. I really believed in what he was doing. Obviously, that offense at Alabama that last year was pretty incredible. So, I thought he was going to, instill a great offense in what he did, and it was perfect for a tight end. So I was like, yeah, I'm going to, rock this last year and, buy all in. And Coach Banks too. Coach Banks actually recruited me when he was at Texas A&M. He offered me when he's a tight end coach at Texas A&M. So I already had like a relationship with him, and he was coming on board, and that was like another big reason I wanted to stay as well. So but yeah, there was a lot of factors all tied in together, but those are probably the two biggest reasons.
Yeah, I mean, you look at what Sark has going now, and one thing that I think people, and maybe you have a thought on this, is they see Sark does an unbelievable job scripting plays, especially at the beginning of the game, does a good job getting the offense into rhythm. And then in the second half, sometimes it looks like he's trying to figure it out. And, he's brought in Joe DeCamillis, longtime NFL special teams guy, who's going to help him with game management. What do you think that is? He's got a lot on his plate. I mean, he's calling the plays. He's trying to oversee the whole operation. What are your thoughts on Sark in the second half of games?
Well, throughout the game, obviously, we always start the game out. We have 10 scripted plays, maybe more, and we start the game out with that. And obviously, we're going to have the fast starts. And, defenses will change what they do than what we saw on film. So you got to make those, halftime in-game adjustments in the second half that you didn't see like on that week prepping for the game. So I think that is, a big hurdle any coach has to go through is, defenses are going to, change what they're going to look like defensively. And you got to change your game plan to fit that and to beat it. So I think that was the, biggest hurdle is with that. But, obviously that's not the only reason, I think that some of it falls on the players too. It's not all the coaches. And, but I think that is the biggest reason, defenses are going to change throughout the game. And you got to make those adjustments. And sometimes, you don't practice it during the week. So you don't have enough repetitions to, ultimately successfully do the play. So, but yeah.
How about your boy Jalen Ford? I mean, the guy, they were trying to convince coaches were trying to convince him, you're good. Like, you need to play with confidence. You're ready. And then he sacks Bryce Young in the second quarter against Alabama last year. And man, it was like the floodgates open.
Yeah, Jalen, he came in, I think, 2020. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, he came in. He was good, man. He was really, really athletic, really talented, and I think his first couple of years he was just kind of the development stage. Not quite bought in yet, kind of deal. Then obviously you saw flashes of it in 2021, and obviously last year he, the Red Sea parted, and here he is, getting all these accolades and everything. So, yeah, the dude's really talented, really, good player, smart guy. Obviously he's bought in now. I think he's going to play in the league for a lot of years. He's just that type of player, and he's experienced now. So I think that really helps with him. And he's got a lot of good people around him, good coaches, and he's balling, man. He really is.
What are you most excited to see about this team on Saturday and obviously leading up to this trip to Alabama?
I'm excited to see the offense. I really am. I'm excited to see Quinn. He was basically he hadn't played since his junior year of high school. This is last year, really, because he skipped senior year and then didn't play at Ohio State. So I'm excited to see what he's going to do under a year under his belt. I think he's going to come out firing, confident. He's kind of got a little fresh start to him, cut down the mullet, kind of cleaned up a little bit. But, yeah, I'm excited to see the offense. I'm an offensive guy, so I always like seeing them. It's offensive line's looking good. Got my boy Jake Majors at the center. Christian Jones still there. I think it's his 6th year.
Yeah.
6th year.
Long time, man. It's a long time. But Christian's a good dude. I don't know any other guys, but yeah, I think we're solid this year. I really do.
What about T Sweat? I mean, everything we're hearing is the guy is just turned into an animal.
He's always been an animal. I mean, he's so big. He's like a big teddy bear. Really, like he's so nice. Like off the field, like he's such a friendly guy. But when you're on the field, he's totally different. He's back to his mean old self. But he's just so big; it's hard to contain him. And he's gotten so much better too. Like I can tell just watching film, he's worked on his technique. He's gotten stronger. He's probably gotten bigger too. But I remember he walked in his freshman year, and I was like, "Damn, this guy's big. He's huge." But yeah, he'll play in the league for a while too. He's just built for the NFL. Like his size is unreal. But great player though. Great player. I'm excited for him as well. Him and Byron are going to tear it up.
You got to get Jake Majors to take you around in this Lamborghini. He just did a deal with Lamborghini Austin.
Big time.
Who is this guy, man?
I mean,
can he even fit in the Lamborghini? Good.
Oh, I got the Urus.
Yeah.
I got the Urus. That's crazy. It's NIL stuff is insane. I wish I had it a little bit longer. I mean, Sam would have got. Who knows what he would have got? Sam Ellinger than Arch, obviously. But yeah, it's NIL stuff. It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's wild.
Hey, Cade, you being a Lake Travis guy, what's it like seeing all of these, guys from Central Texas make it to the NFL, from Garrett Wilson to guys like Deuce Vaughn, how you just mentioned Sam Ellinger, but, the Central Texas area doesn't get the love like the San Antonio, Dallases, and Houstons. What's it mean for those guys to be doing it big on the next level, representing this area?
Yeah, it's crazy. Obviously, Lake Travis has had a bunch of guys and still has a bunch of guys in the NFL. I think we have, obviously, Garrett, Baker, Mayfield. Brendan Hymas is another one, plays for the Chargers. So, yeah, and obviously Deuce Vaughn. There's a lot of Sam. obviously a lot of guys repping the Austin area, Central Texas area. It's pretty crazy to see. I think Austin wasn't really known to be like a high school. Obviously, like Travis Westlake are probably the two, biggest powerhouses in Austin. But it's pretty cool to see, how much it's grown just around, high school football right around the Austin area and guys in the league. And, it's pretty wild. I know a lot of people in the league that's close with, and it's pretty crazy. Cameron Dicker, I forgot my boy Cameron Dicker.
That's right.
He's gonna be mad at me. Yeah, it's wild to think that growing up with these guys, playing with them now, they're making millions in the NFL. So it's cool, man. Really cool.
Well, Cade, man, really appreciate it, man. Don't be a stranger. Let's continue the conversation throughout the season.
Yeah. Welcome to be on anytime. Appreciate y'all having me on. You're cool to talk to. So
yeah, well,
appreciate it, Cade.
Yeah,
keep up the good work, and we'll talk soon.
Yes, sir. Appreciate y'all.
All right, there he is, Cade Brewer, lifetime Longhorn, of course, former tight end. Good insights into his time at Texas and Steve Sarkisian and all kinds of goodies there. And Zay, we're just gonna keep the hits coming because I think our man John McClane is ready to join us. Let me see if John is there.
John, good.
John McClane, how you doing? Or
all
right,
some technical difficulties.
We'll
I didn't know.
Oh, there he is. John McClane, we got you now.
I'm fine, guys. How are you?
Good. How's it for you?
Doing good.
Uh-oh.
Keeps going in and out.
I'm not a lifelong Longhorn.
Well, I don't know if our connection, I don't know what's happening, but we got you back now, my friend.
I said I'm not a lifelong Longhorn.
Right.
And I will say right off the bat, I'm very bitter. As someone who grew up on the Southwest Conference, that the Longhorns are bolting for the SEC. I know the poor old Longhorns need all the money they can get. They have no money. And I don't know any fan that I know in Houston that's happy they're going because all those millions of dollars don't trickle down to the fans. And if they can't win the Big 12, how in the world are they going to win the SEC? They're not. Now, they're heavily favored again, and everybody wants to be. I don't care about the Sooners. I don't give a rat's ass about Oklahoma. But as someone who grew up with the Longhorns, when I was a little kid in the 1963 game in which Don Truill was intercepted by Duke Carlisle in the end zone for a 7-3 Longhorn victory, I was listening on the radio with my dad, and I started crying when they lost. And my dad said, son, actually he said, John Craig, if you're going to be a Baylor fan, there's three things in life you're going to have to understand. And I said, what's that, Daddy? He said, death, taxes, and Texas. Well, I didn't know what he meant, but it's funny because that was in 63, and 11 years later, I was doing a Longhorns dressing room story at the Miracle on the Brazos at Baylor Stadium. And earlier, 1960, when my good buddy Longhorn Bob Moses was MVP, 61, of the Cotton Bowl victory over Ole Miss, I was my parents had a bunch of old black and white TVs. They had their friends brought over to watch the game, and our grandparents lived in Biloxi, and I liked the colors of Ole Miss's uniform. And when Ole Miss came out on TV, I started clapping. And my mother picked me up, took me to the bedroom. We had two bedrooms, one bath. She put me on the edge of the bed, said, honey, if you're going to watch college football, you never pick against a university when they're playing somebody out of state. And I said, well, I like Grandpa Jack's team. And she said, you can't do that when the university is playing somebody outside the state, like in the Cotton Bowl. And if I said, but I thought we hated the Longhorns. She said, we do, except when they're playing somebody from out of state. And if you can't understand that, just stay in here. So I spent the whole Cotton Bowl in the bedroom, and I missed Bob Moses being voted MVP.
Wow.
Oh, I love it. John McClane. And look, you can find John, longtime columnist for the Houston Chronicle, and now is, he's still a Hall of Fame voter and knows the NFL better than anyone.
Would it be easier for me just to tell people where I am so you don't have to read it?
Well, yeah, tell everyone where you are, John.
I retired from the Chronicle so I could get my pension and start doing commercials at my radio station. I write 4 columns a week for sportsradio610.com. There's no paywall. I do 3 Utopia football podcasts a week and 6 appearances there. And it's McClane_on_NFL. And I appreciate you guys having me. Chip's always great to be back on radio, StreamYard, where all you are now that you've grown up.
Well, I appreciate that, John. And I love your perspective. And I want to get your thoughts on Gil Brandt here in a second. But Dana Holgorsen fired some shots at Texas and Texas A&M this week on his weekly radio show, saying they don't want us, we don't want them, screw them, they can go wherever they want. How's Dana doing? He's got a tough one against UTSA and Jeff Traylor this week.
And they're rebuilding. They have new quarterback. They lost Clayton Tune, who could start for the Cardinals because they're tanking. They lost Tank Dell, who was as exciting college football player in the country. And now the Texans have big plans for the 5'8", 165-pound Tank, who's been fabulous in training camp and preseason. But Dana Holgorsen right now, that thing about the Longhorns and Aggies, got about 15 minutes of pub because right now University of Houston has created a huge controversy because they're wearing Oiler uniforms in the first game against UTSA. And they sprung that surprise on everybody with a very cool video narrated by Carl Lewis, and it was about Houston and the University of Houston. And at the end of it, they start showing this red, white, and blue stripe, and then the Columbia blue jerseys. And I'll guarantee you people in Nashville with the Titans don't like it because they said nobody in writing with Bud Adams, nobody could ever do that again without approval. I can't imagine they gave him the approval. But I think what Dana Holgorsen said about Texas is the way everybody else feels. You know, I think I equate Longhorns after being a Baylor grad, watching the Longhorns beat up on the Bears for so long, going against the Longhorns year after year, it's like playing golf. You might play 17 bad holes and you hate it, but you birdie 18, you can't wait to get back out there. And that's what beating the Longhorns is like, birdieing the 18th hole. It makes everything else not seem so bad. And I feel bad feeling the way I do because so many of my friends are Longhorns. But as far as I'm concerned, going to the SEC and not playing Baylor every year, I'll be keeping a close eye on the Burnt Orange. And boy, if they can't win any sooner than they have now, 2009, that's going to be ugly. I've been telling them, I've been doing Nashville radio for 27 years. And I told them, I said, guys, Longhorn's going to be running the SEC. Oh, no, nobody tells us what to do. You know, Alabama and Georgia run the SEC. And I've been telling them that. I said, that's why Nebraska bolted. A&M bolted because of the Longhorn Network. I said, they're going to tell you what to do. And this year, right before the season, nobody tells us what to do. I said, then why did they get SEC Media Days moved to Dallas? And they're like, well, I said, because the Longhorns are going to run the SEC. And they will. And you guys know it.
I love it. I love it. Okay, well, you are a proud Baylor alum. That's right. And Texas is going to open Big 12 play against Baylor. What are you expecting from Dave Aranda and the Bears this year?
I have not liked the way Baylor hadn't gotten into the big transfer portal. They have players, but they don't have better players. And they have one quarterback, Blake Shapen. They have two transfers. Shapen gets hurt. He was really good before he had a concussion last year. They always have running backs. Last year they had every offensive lineman back, and their offensive line was terrible. And now they've got some new guys. Couldn't be any worse. Their defensive line's good. And I think Aranda's a good coach. And Jeff Grimes is a good offensive coordinator. Everybody thinks Baylor has one more good season, like 2 years ago, and Grimes will be gone. But I think that the Longhorns are loaded with talent. We all know that. Quinn Ewers is supposed to be a number one pick in what's supposed to be a great and deep draft for quarterbacks. They got other talent worthy of being first-round picks. And but fact is, still haven't won a title since 2009. But I think the Longhorns have the best team because Sarkisian is a good coach and a great coach, but a good one. And they got talent. They always have talent. And I think Tech, with 10 starters back on offense, now along with TCU, because people kind of forget Max Duggan never would have been a quarterback for the Frogs last year if Chandler Morris hadn't been hurt. 2 years ago, I watched Morris just eviscerate Baylor. And I thought, wow, this kid's going to be great. He didn't do anything the rest of the year. And then he got hurt last year. So he's the starter again. I think Dykes proved he's a hell of a coach. He got a lot of transfers. So I think Tech and TCU are going to be fighting it out for second place behind the Longhorns.
Yeah, John, Dave Aranda, he didn't embrace the transfer portal, and he said that he regretted that at Big 12 Media Day, and he did a lot better in going in the transfer portal for 2023. Let me ask you about the Texans a little bit. D'Amico Ryan's coming into year one, and we know he's a big Texans guy playing there and stuff, but the defense that he had in San Francisco, it seemed like at every position they had an all-pro, Pro Bowl type player like Warner, Hufanga, and Bosa. Not as much talent, even though he has a lot of guys in Petrie and bringing in Will Anderson. How do you think D'Amico Ryans is going to fare his first year here in H-Town?
Anybody who saw the Texans the last 2 years knows why David Culley and Lovie Smith got fired after 1 year. Every team that had an opening, 5 of them, wanted to talk to D'Amico. He turned down 3, interviewed with Denver, and here. He said this was his dream job. He played his first 6 seasons here. Great player, great guy in the locker room, a captain. He married a Houston woman. They had their kids here. They were building their dream home here. They started a home for wayward boys during the pandemic here, even though he had no clue where he was going to end up. He just loves Houston. So Denver made a late run at him and offered $2 million more a year than the Texans were giving him over a 6-year deal. And he told his agent, no, I want to go to Houston. It's plenty of money. So people here have embraced him so much. Former players have, current players have. They really got off to a bad start because Bill O'Brien traded number 1 2 years in a row and number 2 one of those years. Now they got 3 starting offensive linemen out for the first couple of games up to the season. Kenyon Green, 15th overall pick last year from A&M at left guard, disappointment on IR, had shoulder surgery this week. Rookie center Juice Scruggs, IR, got to miss at least 4 games. And a right tackle, Titus Howard, has a broken hand, and they don't know when he'll be back. So you got a rookie coach, a rookie quarterback, and a rookie play caller going to Baltimore, legitimate Super Bowl contender. I do not understand why the line is still 9.5. I told my wife if we were bettors, and we're not, I would bet this house, might bet her on the Ravens at 9.5 because I'm so sure it's going to be ugly. Then they come home and play the Colts and Anthony Richardson. I think they'll beat the Colts, but they couldn't have picked, I'll say, a worse game. I think it's good for Stroud to go in this kind of atmosphere right off the bat. And people go, oh, it's going to be so hard for him. I say, give me a break. He's played in crowds over 100,000 regularly in the Big 12. He'll barely hear the people that in Baltimore, 70,000. So I think if they could win 3 more games and win 6, that would get people going, aha, this team is finally, after 3 bad years, on the way to turning it around.
Man, John, if I ever said I bet my wife on anything, I'd be sleeping on the couch, man. You a bigger man than me.
I already do.
O'Shea, listen.
That's a hot take right there. That's a hot take.
I love it.
Talking to John McClane. You can read him at sportsradio610.com. He's pumping out column after column. He is the voice of reason on Houston sports now that our man Brad Kellner is back in Austin on Texas Sports Unfiltered. John, what do you think of CJ Stroud? Like, you've been around him, you've had a chance to take him in, and Will Anderson as well. What do you make of those two?
Will Anderson Jr. is the leading candidate for defensive rookie of the year, like Bijan Robinson is the leading candidate for offensive rookie of the year. And the Texans haven't had a guy get double-digit sacks since J.J. Watt had 16 in 2018. So they traded up dearly to get him in the third spot, but they also still have first, second, third-round picks next year. And Anderson has been tremendous. Stroud's going to be like all rookies. He's going to be on a roller coaster. He's going to be up. He's going to be down early in camp. And preseason, he struggled and he turned it around. What impresses me the most about him is his ball placement, how accurate he is, whether he's rolling out or whether he's throwing. He throws some dimes. Unfortunately for him, he doesn't have a great receiver. Tank Dell, the rookie from Houston, is the only player on their team who's capable of going the distance every time he touches the ball. So they have question marks at wide receiver. Dalton Schultz from the Cowboys, good addition as a pass receiving tight end. But I think early in the season, especially in that game of Baltimore, he's going to hear a lot of people yelling, "Duck!"
Well, and you mentioned Dalton Schultz leaving the Cowboys to go to the Texans. Brandon Cooks is now with the Cowboys. What kind of player are the Cowboys getting in Brandon Cooks?
Brandon can still play. He's still fast. He's a good guy, but he got mad last year when his good buddy Jack Easterby got fired about 3 years too late. And he basically quit on the team. And they took away his captaincy. They knew he played near the end of the year. He wanted to be traded. He got mad when they didn't trade him to the Cowboys at the trade deadline. And then they did him a favor. They traded him to the Cowboys for like a Italian hoagie. And so he'll contribute up there. He'll help Dak Prescott, and he'll be fun to watch, even at 31, the fact it's his fifth team.
Yeah, and John, I got to ask you about Gil Brandt because, my gosh, he was a football oracle. And I tried to get him to let me write his book for the last 25 years. And I'm worried that he didn't tell all the stories to someone. But gosh, Gil Brandt, you had the best view of his impact. Your thoughts?
Up until 2 years ago, every May I would go to Colleyville between Dallas and Fort Worth and spend a weekend with a friend of mine, an attorney. And he asked me, he said, "Do you want to invite some friends over and we'll cook and have wine and beer, whatever they want?" So I invited Gil Brandt every year, invited late C.O. Mercado, Titan Scout, good friends of him, Mike Renfro. There are different people up there we bring over and just listen to them talk and tell stories. And Gil talking about the formation of the Cowboys, talking about one of the things he did that I thought was so smart is he kept a car full of Cowboy bumper stickers, jerseys, everything, pom-poms, everything he could get with Cowboys. And if Gil was driving down the street in Dallas and he saw kids on a playground, he would get out and go up there with all this Cowboy stuff and give it to them because he wanted the word to be spread about the Cowboys. I watched every game they played from the first one in 1960 till I started working for Dave Campbell at the Waco Tribune-Herald when I was a junior at Baylor. And I never missed a game. And Gil, they talked about the computer scouting. The computer didn't tell them who to draft. It gave them like analytics before anybody knew what it was about players, gave them more information about players, and they used them wisely. And they made some great trades. Tex Schramm always got credit for making the trades as general manager, but Tex was a former media guy, a PR guy. and he listened to Gil, and he listened to Tom Landry. So basically, Landry's signed off, and Gil made the recommendations. And listening to Gil tell stories about traveling around the country to places I still never heard of, and how he got there in rentals, car rentals. Like, I was honored to present Chuck Howley, who had never been a finalist for the Pro Football Hall of Fame 50 years after he retired. Last year, I'm on the seniors committee. He made the list of 15. So I asked the Hall of Fame, can I present him? And they said, sure. So I reached out to some former Cowboys, including Gil, and Gil was in a hospital. And we thought Gil was going to die then. And his wife, Sarah, called me back and said, Gil wants to talk to you about Chuck. So I could barely understand it, but I could make it out, because Chuck Howley was the 7th pick of the Bears, and he blew out his knee in his second training camp, went back to Wheeling, West Virginia, and started working at a gas station. And after a year, Gil had scouted him, and Gil called him up and said, are you staying in shape? Do you still want to play football? How's your knee? And Howley said, yes, I'm still working out. So Gil went up there, and he met with him, worked him out, and made the trade with the Bears, and turned out to be one of the great moves that they made. You know, he took basketball players like Cornell Green. He had an eye for scouting that was pretty damn good for a guy that had made his living as a baby photographer.
How about that?
That's incredible.
He was a baby photographer?
That's what Gil was doing. He met Tex, and he did some part-time work for Tex when Tex was the general manager of the Rams before he went to CBS, and some guy named Roselle took Tex's place as the Rams GM.
Wow. I mean, Gil was unbelievable. I told this story yesterday. You know, in 2004, Texas had Roy Williams in the draft and Nate Vasher, and he says, you know who's going to be the Longhorn who plays the longest in the NFL in this draft class? And I'm like, Vasher? And he's like, nope, Cullen Loeffler, the long snapper. and he was right.
I'll tell you another story he told me. He said when first year they had the cheerleaders when they moved into Texas Stadium, the media had asked, it was a big deal, as you guys can imagine. I can remember, y'all too young, and what a big deal it was to have professional cheerleaders, especially ones as good looking and as skimpily clad at the time as the Cowboy cheerleaders were. So they asked Landry after the first home preseason game where he thought the cheerleaders, he called them porn queens. And so a couple of days later, Tex Schramm asked Landry to come up to his office. And Landry went up there, and Tex closed the door. Room was dark, turned on his projector, pulled down a film, and Landry's watching a projector and the screen. And then Landry's like covers his eyes and goes, oh no, what is that? And Tex says, Tom, that's a porn queen. Gil had so many great stories. It was unbelievable.
Oh my gosh.
That
is unbelievable.
Yeah. And speaking of the Cowboys, John, how do you think they're going to be this year? Obviously, Jerry and Steven, they've made some good moves. You just talked about Brandon Cooks and getting guys like Stephon Gilmore. And we know what Micah Parsons and Trayvon Diggs bring to the table. But how do you think the Cowboys are going to be this year with all the expectation that they have?
First of all, I think Deuce Vaughn is going to be so much fun to watch because you guys, like me, you watched him in the Big 12 for Kansas State. People think he's just some little guy can't run between the tackles, but he does. I think he's going to be so exciting, kind of like Tank Dell is for Houston. I thought they would have had, since Pollard's coming off a major injury, a back like Zeke Elliott, who we could say he's going to take the heat off Tony Pollard. And I think receivers good, defense is great. I think I give Dak Prescott a lot more respect than a lot of people seem to. Jerry just made one of the dumbest trades in the history of sports. If indeed he thinks that when Dak Prescott needs to redo his contract next year, he's going to go, oh my God, Trey Lance is behind me. They may start Trey Lance. I better give him a team-friendly deal. That is ridiculous, preposterous, one of the dumbest things I've ever heard. If Kyle Shanahan gave up 3 ones, doesn't want a guy who can't beat out Sam Darnold as a backup quarterback, And if D'Amico Ryans, who was there for each of Trey Lance's days that he was with the 49ers, and Bobby Slowick, who was Kyle Shanahan's right-hand man, they tried to trade him here before the draft. If they didn't want him, why does Jerry Jones all of a sudden think he's going to help the Cowboys? Looks to me like they should have hung on to Will Greer, or we know Dak Prescott's got a future as a play caller, because Will Greer just had one of the greatest games in the history of preseason. And now, where did he go? Cincinnati? I can't remember where Will Greer went.
That sounds right.
Somebody claimed him and put him on their practice squad, but I don't like that move. Cooper Rush 4-1 if Dak gets hurt. Nobody's repeated that division in ever. So I'm picking the Cowboys to win the division, the Eagles to finish second. Everybody's picking the Eagles. No team other than New England has gone back to the Super Bowl after it lost since the Steelers in the 90s. So the odds are against Philadelphia going to the Super Bowl. But I don't think the Cowboys are going to the Super Bowl. It seems like three quarters of the nation don't even remember the Cowboys being in the Super Bowl. What was it, 27 years ago? Yeah. But I think they're going to be good. I don't think Mike McCarthy's on a hot seat. Jerry's very patient with his coaches. You win 12-12, where are they going to fire him if he wins 12 again? But I think it's going to be fun. And if they stay healthy on defense, they can be prolific. Not doomsday prolific, but they can be prolific.
Well, John, you're amazing at predicting who's going to be in the Super Bowl. So do you have your picks?
I'm going to do a picks column next week on sportsradio610.com, where my columns are, no paywall. And I think, just to be a little different, I'm going to pick Baltimore instead of Cincinnati. Everybody's picking Cincinnati. I think it's going to be so much better in the AFC, so much harder, because great teams. Chiefs, nobody's repeated since the Patriots after the 2002 season as champion. So I'm going to go with Baltimore. Lamar Jackson has only won one playoff game. I think he's going to have a lot to prove, and the next thing he can do is to win another playoff game or two. And in the NFC, I don't want to pick Philadelphia. I can't pick the Cowboys. Nobody from the South. It's pathetic. And from the AFC North, I'm not. I love Dan Campbell, even though he's naggy. I think what he's doing in Detroit is good. So I'm going to pick Seattle, because last year, when we all thought they were going to bottom out, they were very good. They got coaching. They got general manager. They've had two great drafts in a row. And somehow they've made Geno Smith into a much better quarterback. So to be different, I'm going to say Baltimore and Seattle. If you put my feet to the fire, I would say San Francisco, because it came so close last year. And I think I would still stick with Baltimore.
Okay. And the Jets, what do you think with Aaron Rodgers and him throwing a Garrett Wilson like he's Devontae Adams?
Not many guys have been able to get their own PR show for an hour every week like Aaron Rodgers has. And it's all Hard Knocks is, the Aaron Rodgers show. He's such a great guy. He must be the media making up all those negative stories about him in Green Bay. I think that they're going to be a great story. The Rodgers is the best things happened to the New York Giants. If Rodgers wasn't there, all the fans and media in New York would be talking about the Giants trying to go back to the playoffs when they were very fortunate last year. I don't have them going to the playoffs this year, but I think the Jets are going to overthrow Buffalo second, Miami third, New England a distant fourth. The AFC East and the AFC North, those are the two of the toughest divisions, top to bottom, I've ever seen.
Yeah. That's going to be must-see TV in the AFC East. John, great stuff, my friend. We got to make this a regular occasion. Love the conversation.
Thank you. It's fun being on with you guys. Chip, thank you very much for having me.
There he is.
Thanks, John. Appreciate you.
And I'd like to say good luck to the Longhorns, but sorry, I can't.
Might be the last time they play Baylor for a very long time, John. So cherish it.
I will. See you guys. Thank you.
All right, John McClane, read him at sportsradio610.com. The guy's a legend, NFL Hall of Fame voter. I mean, you heard it, all the stories talking to Gil Brandt. That's what I'm talking about, Zay.
Oh yeah. Yo, John coming in hot. Baltimore, Seattle. Whoa, that would be some crazy stuff right there. Baltimore, they got Monken over there from Georgia. He's their new offensive coordinator. And Lamar Jackson, I love him. I know he's dynamic, former Heisman Trophy winner, former MVP, but the way that he plays, like, he's going to have to make some more throws for me, because there's some throws that I don't think he can make on a consistent basis. If you're looking at the Justin Herberts, Joe Burrow, Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allens of the world, all guys in his division that he's going to have to go through in order to get to Vegas in the Super Bowl. But man, he's been injured these last few years, and I think it has a lot to do with the way he plays, like him being fleet of foot, putting the ball on the deck and running and stuff. Like, he's done a better job at sliding, but I don't know. Instincts always come into play, Chip. Like, you could say you want to stay in the pocket and try to make all the throws. That's one thing. But when you got, TJ Watt coming after you 2 times a season, like, them instincts are going to take over, and you're going to try to get the first down no matter what. And that's using your feet. And sometimes the Ravens and Lamar Jackson, they could get in trouble because he just takes too many hits to last the whole season.
Yeah. I mean, you look at Lamar Jackson, he won the MVP in 2019. And I always do this with the guys who are good on their feet, is I just start to look at, are they still, getting out and doing it? And his rushing numbers have fallen off dramatically. He ran for 1,200 yards in that MVP season in 2019.
Oh man.
And he ran for 1,000 yards in 2020. Then it was 767 yards in 2021 and 764. And the touchdown runs have dropped. And it's because of what you just said, Zay. I mean, you take enough hits, you're making big money. It's business decisions after a while. And once you've been hurt, man, Dak Prescott's not running for first downs the way he used to. I don't know. It's going to be interesting because it's that happens when you're a young quarterback. You're kind of fearless and you're playing on your rookie contract. Once you get the big money, which Lamar has now, business decisions.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's always going to be a threat. Like, when these defensive coordinators prepare for him, they always have to look at his feet of doing damage. But you saw with Russell Wilson last year, like, that dude, whenever guys weren't open, he would get the first down himself and run for it. And it would be so deflating for defenses, because you're like, oh man, we got everybody covered. Oh, there goes this guy running for 15 yards on a 3rd and 13. Like, those are the heartbreaking plays that could really deflate a defense. And man, Odell Beckham Jr., does he have a lot left? This is a guy who's been hurt a lot. Even though he's as dynamic as he's been throughout his career as of late. I mean, going back to that Super Bowl for the Rams, like, this dude, he gets hurt all the time. So if that's your number one guy, I do like Zay Flowers from Boston College. I like him a lot. I think he's going to be a Tyreek Hill type guy in the league. And obviously Devin Duvernay, the Texas alum, is there. And if he's your number 3, that's a pretty good number 3. But yeah, it all depends on Lamar Jackson and his health, and maybe Monken coming over from Georgia. Maybe he'd give those guys some new life. But man, I don't know if I could agree with Mr. McClane on them going to the Super Bowl. I just think there are too many other good teams, especially in that division. Haven't even mentioned Jacksonville and what they have with Trevor Lawrence. Bringing in somebody like Calvin Ridley that are going to make life very difficult for the Ravens. But like John said, that AFC North and the AFC East, absolute gauntlet.
Well, we are exactly 24 hours from kickoff for the Texas Longhorns to their season. So let's get back into some Longhorns conversation. But I do have to tell you about my man Tom McClane and Audiovisual Consultations, because it's football season, folks. And if you've been thinking about upgrading to that bigger screen TV, just write down this phone number, write it down right now, or better yet, just punch it into your phone and call it 512-255-8678. Because once you make that call, that's it. Tom McClane is going to take care of everything else from there, because AV Consultations, the beauty of AV Consultations is Tom and his crew bring everything to you, from the free consultation to installation. You're busy. You got things to do. So just let them come and precision. They're going to make everything perfect. You want surround sound. You want, surveillance. You want electronic shades. Tom and his crew bring it all to you. You just sit back, relax, as he likes to say, spend time with your kids. He used to say, make love to your wife, but that was kind of awkward. And so he doesn't say that anymore. I think his daughter kind of shamed him out of saying it. Love you, Tom. I know you're listening. But Tom's always, AV Consultations have put all the TVs in my house, and they're the best. And they put them in all the best, all your favorite restaurants. So let's call this number, 512-255-8678, and let Tom and his crew bring everything to you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, man. Absolutely. Shout out to Tom. And also shout out to Covert Auto Group, Covert Bee Cave. We were over there this morning. Bucky and Trey and BK talking to Dan Covert and the crew, getting ready for a great football season. Just go check out Bucky and BK tomorrow from 12 to 2. Or they will be there before that from 10 or from 11 to 12, meeting and greeting, chopping it up with everybody. Then the pregame show on Texas Sports Unfiltered would be over at Covert Bee Caves from 12 to 2 with Bucky and BK. And yeah, man, it's beautiful over there, Chip. I mean, just state of the art, 42 acres. It's right up on the hill, and you see all the beautiful vehicles and all the great deals. They're still running great summer deals. So you can check that out at covertbeecave.com. From Buick, GMC, Cadillac, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram. They could get you right in the vehicle that you need so you can look fly on the road. So check out Covert Bee Caves and Covert Auto Group, great partner of ours here at Texas Sports Unfiltered.
Yeah, and Dr. Eckert Dentistry. I mean, he's Austin's dentist. So whether you need a cleaning or you need some work done, you want to get that smile that you've always wanted, Dr. Eckert can do it all. Cosmetic dentistry, advanced dentistry, sports dentistry. He's got Brain Vault, brainvault.com, the patented mouth guard that's been proven to reduce the effects of concussion. So you want dentistry, you just call 512-345-3166. Or go to dreckert.com. And of course, it's DRUECKERT.com. And if you're a coach or a parent or a grandparent with a football player and you want to get that Brain Vault mouth guard, then just go to brainvault.com and set up a fitting. So appreciate all of our sponsors, Allstat Brewery, Top Gun Rentals and Lawn Equipment, Last Stand Hats, Woods, AC and Repair, Relax the Back, 7-Eleven, baby, get your Slurpee on.
Slurpees, man.
Oh, in this 100-degree heat, Slurpees are the best. I'm in 7-Eleven all the time for those Slurpees. And of course, Centex tickets. Zay, what are you looking forward to most about this Texas football game tomorrow, 24 hours from now?
The freshmen, all the freshmen, this great recruiting class, top 5 recruiting class, all of those guys seeing what they can bring to the table.
Which freshman are you most?
Anthony Hill. I think he has probably the best opportunity to get out on the field with no Mo Blackwell. I think you're going to see a lot of reps with him. I mean, you could say that about CJ Baxter, but if Jonathan Brooks and Keelan Robinson, if they get it rolling, depending on the day, depending on the game, then who knows? But I think right now with Mo Blackwell out with that MCL, that's going to give Anthony Hill a lot more reps. And even though David Benda, I'm expecting him to start, I want to see what number 0 is all about.
Does he remind you of you?
Hell no.
What?
I'm not going to. Who? Anthony Hill?
Yeah, man.
Hell no. I wish if he reminded me of me, then you and I wouldn't be talking right now. I'd be somewhere getting ready for week 1 of the NFL if I had what he has. Like, that dude has everything you need to be an elite linebacker for the future. It's just the age, man. Like, can you be comfortable throwing him out there in key situations? I know that when we're expecting Rice to be just an easy dub for the Horns, it should be. But JT Daniels, that dude's experienced, man. That dude's played a lot of football to where he can maybe confuse very young guys playing in their first game ever, like an Anthony Hill, like a Malik Muhammad. So I think this is a good test for those young guys. And Anthony Hill, I'm trying to see what he's about, either from an edge rushing spot, maybe on blitzing plays, or even just being that straight up weak side linebacker. I'm trying to see what number 0's got, because we know he has a lot of upside. And Chip, he don't remind me of me. That dude has way more juice than I ever had.
If you had what he had, you might be playing for the Ravens, getting ready to try to help make John McClane a profit.
You're right. I'll be right beside Robert Quinn and those dudes.
Yeah, I'm excited to see Anthony Hill too. I've said he's got that kind of uncanny ability to get in the backfield and not go for the sack. If he sees the quarterback getting ready to throw it, he'll go swat where he knows the ball is going to be and not even try to go for the sack. He's just a headsy football player. He knows that it's all about the football, and he's just one of those guys who has a knack to knock it loose and create turnovers. So I'm with you. I'm excited. I think we're going to see him a lot on pass rushing downs, and that's going to be fun. And CJ Baxter, man, I mean, you got Steve Sarkisian basically talking about CJ Baxter and Jonathan Brooks almost like they're co-starters. Let's see what C4 is all about. And look, the Rice defense is the strength of their team. And so let's see how the Texas offense is able to pick them apart. And can Texas impose its will in the running game? Because Texas, you heard Cade Brewer. And if you missed former Longhorns tight end Cade Brewer on the show in the first hour, make sure you check out the podcast at iTunes, Spotify, wherever you enjoy your podcasts, because he talked about it. And he talked about, the fact that, he wants to see this offense impose its will, because Sarkisian's a run first guy. And you have to have the threat of the run to set up play action. And unless Sark's going to totally change his team's identity, which he shouldn't, because he's got his offensive line returning and he's recruited well at running back, then let's see them impose their will in the running game. Because you go to Tuscaloosa and you don't have a running game, you're dead. You're dead in the water. So
yeah,
let's see it,
Yeah, definitely got to see it. And hey, CJ Baxter, it kind of shows him coming from a big time program out of Florida that he'll be ahead of the curve. You talked about it this week, Chip. It took Mac Brown a few games to realize Cedric Benson was that dude, because he didn't believe in freshmen. He didn't think that freshmen, maybe have earned, or he thought they would be pissing down their leg due to just nerves and stuff of being a freshman playing for a big powerhouse like Texas. And he was wrong. Cedric Benson, one of the greatest running backs to ever put on the burnt orange. And I'm not trying to throw that pressure on CJ Baxter, but again, going back to week 0, you saw for USC, Zechariah Branch go crazy as a freshman with 2 touchdowns, including that kick return. You saw in Dublin, Jaden Grayhouse go crazy with 2 touchdowns. Both of those guys are freshmen. So it doesn't matter your age. If those guys can produce and give your team the best chance to win, then throw them out there. And I'm not saying that those guys won't have nerves. All of the freshmen that are going to play tomorrow, somebody going to have some nerves because, this is what you dream for. This is what you work so hard for in high school, getting recruited and, going through the off season and stuff. Like, this is what you work for, that moment. And I know that they want to make the best of it, but, for some guys, it takes time. And for some guys, they can pick up on it right away and they're ready. And
yeah, look at
we're going to see who that is.
Look at Quinshon Judkins at Ole Miss last year. 1,500, almost 1,600 yards rushing, true freshman, 16 rushing touchdowns. The freshmen, it seems, are more prepared than they've ever been to play at an early age, especially the special ones. And look, CJ Baxter, #1 running back recruit in the nation, 5-star. Bijan Robinson was a 5-star. Bijan Robinson probably should have been used more as a freshman. My God, Tom Herman, what were we thinking there? But
yeah,
Quinshon Judkins, you had Zach Evans sitting there behind him. He wouldn't let anyone else on the field. He was that talented, and I'm fascinated to watch Quinshon Judkins again this year. What do you do for an encore at Ole Miss? But yeah, I want to see if CJ Baxter is that kind of special. And look, they show the special ones show you right away. So let's watch and see that.
Yeah.
Tomorrow.
And what's put CJ Baxter ahead of the curve, yes, we know what he could do running the football, but as far as pass protection, that better be on point. You cannot get our all-world quarterback blown up. You just can't, because say what you want about Quinn Ewers' performance last year, it looked like he had a little bit of PTSD from that Alabama hit, and that's the reason why a lot of balls sailed, because he wasn't going to his mechanics. Maybe he was worried about that rush. So he's just trying to get the ball out of his hands quick. Like, you want Quinn Ewers at ease. Then you already said, Chip, he lightened the ass now. The dude's been dieting, he's under 2 bills. Like, the fact that he weighs less than Bryce Young, which I still don't believe at the combine Bryce Young weighed over 200 pounds or weighed exactly 200 pounds. Yeah, he's about $155 on, soaking wet. But Quinn Ewers, he can't be taking many hits. He can't be. So not only CJ Baxter, all the running backs, including in the offensive line, they got to protect 3. And if they do and give him times where he could step up and make those throws to all those weapons for the wide receivers, including JT Sanders and Gunnar Helm, then this Longhorns team, they should have the success that everybody is thinking that they could have. And it starts tomorrow.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And, think of all the newcomers that I talk about my checklist, and I'm just going to run through some of the newcomers that Anthony Hill, we mentioned, Justice Finkley, with Ovia Gofu gone, Justice Finkley at that buck end position with Ethan Burke, Colton Vasek probably getting the game. I'm really high on both Burke and Vasek. Obviously the coaches are too, because of their length, but Malik Muhammad at corner, who's been pushing. I don't know if anyone had a better couple scrimmages in fall camp than Malik Muhammad. Malik Murphy at quarterback, obviously Arch Manning. Jalen Gilbo. Jalen Gilbo was, man, he was ahead of everybody last year until that knee injury. We talk about Terrence Brooks, but Gilbo was ahead of Brooks, and then the knee injury. And so I'm eager to see Jalen Gilbo, number 13,
Yeah, we talk about if Jahdae Barron had to move around from that star position. And I think if that were to happen, hopefully it doesn't, because that means some serious things are going on in that cornerback room. Like I want Gavin Holmes and Terrence Brooks and, Ryan Watts. I want them all to be those guys, and also Malik Muhammad. But if they were to move Jahdae Barron around, which Sark just talked about in his last presser about everything that Jahdae could do from corner, star position to safety, he does it all, which makes him so valuable. Jalen Gilbo, now healthy, him coming in, I have tons of confidence that he could get the job done, because you're right, Chip. What he showed before he got hurt, like that dude as a freshman is tough. And, I wish he was able to play the rest of the games, because I think the defense would have been a lot different. And we forget about him being injured last year. What was it, the Oklahoma State game? Yeah. I don't know that. Yeah. But man, that changed a lot with what Pete Kwiatkowski wanted to do scheme-wise for the defense. And, there were a couple of mistakes and lapses in the secondary last year that I don't think would have happened if Jalen Gilbo was healthy. So, yeah, man, that room, it's deep. It's very deep. And all those guys are battling out for playing time. Sark, he mentioned Michael Taft, which I don't think he gets enough credit, just because I think, he was a former walk-on. He earned that scholarship, but he's another one of those Westlake guys. And, just talking to Cade Brewer, like, don't sleep on those Central Texas, Westlake, Lake Travis guys, man. Those guys know how to win. Those guys know how to play ball. And they might not be the most athletic as some of their peers on the squad, but Michael Taft, you're not going to see him in the wrong spot very often. So, you think about Jalen Catalon and what he brings to the table. You're still a little nervous about him just making it throughout the whole season.
Lights out Catalon.
Lights out Catalon, baby. But if he stays healthy, along with all the guys like Derek Williams, Jelani McDonald, I think those guys are going to be able to contribute somehow, some way. I'm sure Jeff Banks has found something for those guys to do, just because it's Jeff Banks, and those guys, I think, are talented enough to see the field.
Derek Williams and Jelani McDonald look like NFL players.
Men. Yeah.
Right now. I mean, I've heard great things. I can't wait to see it.
Yeah, it's so deep, man. There's so much talent on this team, and they just got to put it together. Hey, so we talk about the linebackers a little bit, and obviously Mo Blackwell, him being out for a couple of games. I don't know how long, 2 to 4 weeks. We were told last week with that MCL injury. Jett Bush, do you expect him to be able to, get out there and?
Well, he's going to be out there.
Yeah.
And Jett Bush, I'm conflicted about Jett Bush, because I thought he was a good edge rusher, but he's undersized. He doesn't have the measurables, but he has the motor. I thought he was a liability in coverage, man. When he would come in last year, offenses would check immediately to a pass in his area, and it was tough. Now at middle linebacker, you don't ever really want Jalen Ford off the field in a meaningful game, but yeah, you're going to see Jett Bush. And look, he's a good football player. I'm not saying that. He's a good football player, but he doesn't have the lateral quickness that Jalen Ford has, that Mo Blackwell has, that David Benda has, that, Leonga Lafau has. He's a downhill guy. And so maybe if they can kind of keep him centered. But here's the thing, Zay. You've got T'Vondre Sweat and Byron Murphy clogging things up. Runs are going to bounce to the outside, and that's where you got to have that lateral, sideline to sideline speed, and you got to have your Jahdae Barrons. I mean, Jahdae Barron. That's why you love him at nickel, because he's going to know when things are going to bounce to his side of the field, and he's going to come up and he's going to try and knock your lights out. Same with Jalen Catalon. So that's, I think Jett Bush is the backup, or co-backup with Leonga Lafau behind Jalen Ford. But there's no doubt the coaches like Jett Bush. He's a smart football player. Just from a physical standpoint, I'm not sure he gives you what you really want at linebacker as much as at the edge rushing position. But man, when you got dudes like Vernon Broughton, Alfred Collins, Ethan Burke, Colton Vasic, Baron Sorrell. It's, Jeb Bush is a good backup.
Yeah, that's where I'm at too. I think if he's your backup, you're in a good position because the dude plays hard. He's experienced. He's played a lot of games. And, I think just cracking down more film and stuff, like you feel comfortable throwing him out there depending on the situation. And that kind of goes with the whole roster. There's a lot of guys that, they might not be on the first team. They might not even be on the second team. But depending on the situation, on who gets hurt and, moving guys around for Pete Kwiatkowski's defense. And even on the other side on offense, especially on that defensive line, now you got DJ Campbell starting. You're going to be able to do a lot with a lot of those guys on the line, depending on the situation. And that's what Sark's been building for the last 3 years. He's been wanting that to where, okay, a guy goes out where, okay, a guy's now coming in. We're not going to have any drop off. Like that's what the great teams do. The Alabamas, Ohio States, Georgia, that's what they've been able to do. That's why they succeed. Hell, Alabama, they lost their, star quarterback last year for a couple of games. And, Nick Saban, he thought that they should have been in the college football playoff. And a lot of other people thought they should have been in the college football playoff. That's another story for another day. But yeah, like this team, everything they want. They have everything they want, everything ahead of them. Just now it's time to play. And Sark, all those mistakes that you made last year, hopefully you've brought in the right guys like Jody Camillus and Paul Chris to help you out. I know Gary Patterson was a big part of that. But yeah, everything is on the table and in your favor. You just got to put it all out there. And hopefully we see that tomorrow, 2:30.
Yeah. And 100 degrees.
Ooh.
Forecasted temperature. You got those rubber pellets in that field cooking. That heat coming off the turf is going to be closer to 120, maybe higher. And just Texas has been practicing in this heat for this very reason. And you're going to see all kinds of rotation. So, and for the fans, I will say this again. I've been told once Texas goes to the SEC, they're not going to have these 2:30 games in September. They're going to have night games in September. And so, don't just know that these type of games, Fox don't care. They don't have a relationship with Texas going forward. ESPN will look out for Texas going forward, give them some night games in September. So, we probably should address this. Our man, Robert,
Dominic.
Yeah, about 3:30 today, Dominic McKinley is going to announce his commitment. And I know this has been a really weird recruitment. And I know our recruiting guys at Horns 24/7, our man Hank South lowered his confidence rating on this today. It sounds like that Dominic McKinley is probably going to announce for someone other than Texas, but Texas will continue to recruit Dominic McKinley, big time defensive lineman out of the state of Louisiana, a guy I really like. I think, you watch his film, this is a guy who can help. And this is the most important position in the 2024 recruiting class for Texas. So, stay tuned on this. Don't lose your minds if he announces for A&M, which I think is probably the leader. His mom wants him close. A&M is close to Louisiana, and DJ Durkin's selling him on playing with all these other talented kids that they've been recruiting there. But again, we're a long way to signing day. So don't throw yourself out the window.
College Station ain't the ATX, Dominic. So be careful. Be careful.
Yeah.
Hey, Chip, one more thing before we leave. Bert Auburn How do you feel about him coming into the season? We haven't talked about the kicking situation, but it seems like the guy that I like to call sober Carrot Top coming into another year. Do we feel confident that if the time came up and he had to make a big kick, will he make that kick?
Hey, I'm a buyer of burnt orange Auburn. I mean, the guy hit the big one against Alabama last year with 1:29 left to give him the lead, 49-yarder, and then hit the 47-yarder at Tech with no time left to force overtime. He got no credit for those kicks because Texas ended up losing.
They
those
lost,
kicks.
yeah.
But those were money kicks. And everyone's like, well, he missed that field goal against Alabama early in the game. Steve Sarkisian and Jeff Banks have said the snap and hold were not good. And that's when they replaced Zach Edwards, the snapper, and the holder. The holder was Isaac Pearson, the backup or the punter at the backup punter at the time. They replaced both of them. Louis St. Louis, the snapper, now they feel really good about, and Ryan Sanborn, who's been a holder on field goals pretty much his whole time at Stanford, they feel good about. And when the snap and hold is there, they feel like Burt Auburn can deliver the goods. So yeah, I'm buying burnt orange Auburn with that burnt orange hair. Zay, you buying them?
Yeah. Oh yeah, man. Hey, anybody that looks like Carrot Top, I'm with. You know what I'm saying? He looks like he has a good time. It looks like he enjoys life. And hey, all your job is to make the big kick. And he's done that thus far. Just you're right, Chip. He didn't get the credit for it because the Horns lost both of those games to the Crimson Tide and the Red Raiders. So yeah, if the time comes up where he has to make another big kick, which that's going to be sometime this season, I believe in him to get it done. Absolutely.
All right. Any big predictions for the weekend, Zay? You got Texas covering. I got Texas covering the 35.
Yeah, definitely covering. And as far as Texas record, I'm going 11-1.
Let's go.
I'm going 11-1. I don't know who that loss is going to be to. I got a couple of teams on my mind. Maybe next weekend against Crimson Tide, maybe against the Wildcats of Kansas State. But yeah, I got one game that this team is losing. Too much expectation, too much talent. You know, this is the year where you go over 10 games, Sark.
I love it. I love it. Zay.
Yeah. How about you, man?
I'm 10-2.
Okay.
And if they beat Alabama, watch out. If they beat Alabama, watch out, which I think they could beat Alabama. I'm this close to predicting Texas beating Alabama, but I'm not there yet. I want to see Texas tomorrow. I want to see that run defense. I want to see if Texas can run the football on its own terms. And then come Monday. Are we doing a show Monday on Labor Day?
You got to talk to BK. I'm sure we are.
Because I talk to BK, and I shouldn't be doing this on the air, Zay, but because I got to go down to talk to Sark and the players. Are you good with doing 3 to 5 on Mondays during the football season?
We can't do 3 to 5. We got Jeff Howe now.
Oh.
Starting next week. Jeff Howe with Kevin Dunn and Trey Elling. And then we got Harge before us and BK and Trey before us. And we just brought on Wags and Rodney. So, yeah, we're full now. Texas Sports Unfiltered. We're full now. But we're going to make things happen. We can figure it out. We got a big team here. We can figure it out, man. But it's been a fun day. It's been a fun day. It's been a fun week.
Hey, man, let's rock and roll, baby. We'll have a ton to talk about on Monday if I'm even available to be on the show. Hey, listen, appreciate everybody. Appreciate all the sponsors. Let's do it again. Have a great weekend. Have a great kickoff to the Longhorn season, the college football season, and keep it right here on Texas Sports Unfiltered. You know what I'm saying? Tell your friends and enemies. Peace.
Absolutely. Y'all be cool.